travel for a while. I don't mind. I think my Windows. That's a win. Yeah. We're live. What's up, chat? Happy Wednesday. Sadly, another. Yes, stream is live already. Indeed. Yeah. See, that's how you play with people's expectation, Nakabo. Right. So the last one was like 6 p.m. my time, and then people were like, "Wah, not EU friendly," and then I can just like bring it back 1 hour, which is still not very EU friendly. But then, but then people are happy because it's earlier. Yeah. I'm trying to work around your name. Yeah, that's gonna stick with you for a long time. I know. It kind of sucks. How are we doing today? All right. I'm in a decent mood. We're gonna try to like a shortish, shortish by Serpent standard, I guess, like perhaps like 3-4 hour stream today. Get some work done on the framework, and after that, I'm gonna take a little break, perhaps like eat a bit of food, and then I'm gonna be jumping on another channel to do the Brain Bites TV podcast. So that's gonna be a thing. If I were like a total fucking beast, like I would try to just stretch my stream and then try to host the other dude and then try to like go and but it's too crazy. I'm not gonna do that. All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna switch to my Linux display. When we start working, let's not waste any time since it's a short one. So we're gonna work on of course like the player recording thing. We did ship a feature yesterday. Well, at least like an extension of a feature. That was Doggo. There you go. All right. And let's bring you guys over here. There we go. Doggo is in position. Nice. And I'm just going to swap my keyboards. Grab the right mouse. And we're going to be good to go. All right, so we're going to keep working on the player input recording because that one is going pretty well. What's up, dope? Yeah, I know. It's a little EU unfriendly at the moment. Things will settle in. Weekend will always be EU friendly. That's never going to be a problem. All right, so like I have until about let's say 9:15, 9:20 my time to stream. So let's try and not to waste any time. Try to get some work done on this thing. So the first thing I'll do is go back to our branch because we did work in another feature branch yesterday. So I think if I look right now, I am in nothing. No, because that's not the right. That's the one. All right. So if I look at my status. It says I am on branch context capture with screen regions. That's definitely not right. So we're gonna go back to dev for a sec. We're gonna make sure that we have latest dev, origin dev. All right, latest dev, perfect. We're gonna go back to our input capture branch. All right, so check out input capture like this, nice. And then it says it's a bit of okay. Can I highly doubt there's something, but just in case. All right, cool. Sometimes like I would edit like readmes and stuff like that, or documents like directly on GitHub in a branch. So I always want to make sure that everything has everything's in place. And one thing I'll start with, and this may cause like actual like merge conflicts like right away, but I'll rebase the dev because there was like some other. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, we were gonna have some issues. Can I? All right, let's see what's up. Game Agent and Serpent Pie. What's the big deal? Wait, what's up, Crucial? Good day. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What's up? All right, so we're trying to I'm trying to squeeze in a quick stream basically, because at 9:30 my time I have to get ready for the Brain Bites TV podcast. But I still want to get some work done on Serpent today, so we're gonna try to get that done. All right. Because yes, our Twitch team has a podcast. Like, believe it or not, it's kind of a big deal. All right. All right, let's go and see. Like, I was wondering, like, is there a nice way to visualize that? I don't think I equipped myself with very nice things to visualize conflicts, but since it's such a small merge conflict, like, I'd probably just handle it like manually in the files. So where are you at, my friendo? There you go. Oh, nice. This is nice in Visual Studio Code. Yeah. Officially Snack Night. Oh yeah. Nice. So we're gonna try to get some cool stuff happen. If you haven't seen this feature at all, you're probably gonna enjoy it. I'm in the middle of like re-architecting, like making sure it's working in a different way. It used to be like a blocking plus small snippet of code in a loop, and then the small snippet of code got a little bigger, and I started losing out some key events because while I was running the other snippet of code, I was not actively listening for key presses. So what I did is I scrapped it all. I started from scratch, and I now have a separate process that will always collect the keys. of the player, right? So the feature right now is to record player inputs, right? So you can play any game and have your Serpent like framework if you're set up, and say record the gameplay in this game. That's it, right? It's gonna do everything for you. You're gonna end up with a nice juicy HDF5 file that has frames and key presses and durations and reward scores and all sorts of interesting things. All right, so what's the first thing here that got changed? Oh yeah, I refactored a few things in Capture. That's true. That's true. Fuck, that's exactly what I was not supposed to do. Right, so which one is the good one is not the one in dev or head. This is the right one is this one, because I refactored. I added this initialize game. Yeah, you remember when I found that issue? Yeah, it's a little painful somehow, right? It's a little painful somehow, but at the same time, it's not that bad. It's kind of like the life of a programmer, I would say. So it's fun. I got disappointed for a second because I knew it meant like we had to redo it, but at the same time, I was also happy because it meant we were gonna have to redo it, and there's always an opportunity to make it better. It was not that bad. My voice, goddamn. Oh shit! Yeah, no, I have to actually make this. Oh god. All right, so I have to do a bit of a merge for real because I need that extra 2 arg that we added in the other branch, so that needs to be there. But I don't want to initialize the game that way anymore. So I think if I do this, I'll be good. Something like this, right? So I have extra 2 that was added from the other branch, and then I have a new like a new, I guess, cleaner way to initialize the games from just like a string. So I'm using that in this one, and then extra 2 should have been here. So that one is pretty much done. I don't think there's any other sort of merge conflict here. It's a high voice. What's up, Vladi? Why voice? Is it because you're also watching Sky and my voice is in the background? budget Puka. God damn, you guys are kind of like setting up some sort of hierarchy or something here. All right. I'll call him Wololo Hadi because we established that yesterday. It's actually Wololo Hadi. Right. I was just quoting you. Oh damn. All right. That should be good for this file. And then there's the other one. Which one was that? Was that the base game agent thing? Just a quick rebase / like fixing merge conflicts before we continue. Game agent. Right. Cool. Game agent. And then we're looking for something that should be pretty obvious visually with VS Code, or not. How is that a? Where is it? Am I blind? Is it just like a? It said there was an issue, unless it. Oh no! Unless it managed to. I get it. Unless it did manage to figure out how to do the three-way merge or something. So let's look at our status. Yeah, we're good. So I figured out all the other guys. I need to add my modification here. So let's just do Serpent like this. And then I can just... What was it again? Do I need to make the commit? I think I do. Man, it's been a while since I rebased on it. Holy shit, I feel like I need to. This is like the sort of stuff when you work, like that you do like almost like every other day. But now there is -- continue, but I think I need to commit first. I'm not sure. Some François will know this for sure. Like if I rebase, I don't remember if I need to commit when I fix it. I think I do, but because otherwise it's just in the stage. But I could try first to do rebase, and then there's like -- continue. Yeah, you need to commit. All right, cool. All right, so git commit. How did I forget this? I'm ashamed. All right, so what do I commit here? However, like the only thing that feels like you want to say when this is the you just want to say resolve. You just want to say you're resolving the merge conflict. Essentially, that's it. Like there's nothing else to say. I only changed And then I can do git rebase continue. All right. Rebase apply. Is it dash dash continue? Yeah, it is dash dash. What am I saying? God damn, I need to wake up, boy. There's no conflict. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? They say all conflicts fixed. What's up, Lauren? They say all the conflicts are fixed, and they say run git rebase continue. If I run rebase continue, it gives me that output. So what's the deal here? Uh-oh. All right, let's read. Are you sure I needed to commit? Because it seems to not be okay with that, man. Yeah, no, I didn't need to commit. I didn't need to commit. No. That's the thing. I didn't need to commit before the continue. No. All right. So I guess I should have done it. Like, it's just add and then and rebase. No. François, I know. We're gonna do this now. We're gonna dance. Right? It says resolve all conflicts manually. Mark them as resolved with add rm conflicted files, and then run git rebase continue. It doesn't say that you have to commit, because it will commit the add whatever stage you just set. You don't need to, like, now I committed it, and it doesn't. It says I can't continue my rebase because I don't have a stage. So I will have to rebase, like abort this thing, and then start from scratch. It's okay. I can just like rebase abort. Come on. GG. Hey, it happens. It happens to everyone. It's okay. It's okay. So now if I check my log, I should be at work in progress, which is where I saved whatever. I'm going to do it again, which also means I'm going to have to resolve the conflicts again, but it's fine. It's okay. All right, so I'm going to go in here. Go back to the only one that was problematic is this guy right here. All right, so I need to add extra 2 is done, and that's pretty much it. I want to accept the incoming change now. Please don't change it back to what it was. Thank you. All right, perfect. All right, we good. I just copy paste everything that goes beyond pulling and committing from there. God damn, that's rough, man. That's definitely gonna cause more issues than just Git. And then I can apparently just add it. Let's make sure. Today we're gonna make sure. So I'm gonna add serpent. All right, and then just git rebase continue. So that's why I paused there, because I was like, I don't remember if you need to. It does the same fucking thing. Well, it's not the same thing. It doesn't like. Oh no, it's fine. It's because it can happen in multiple steps. No problem. All right, it's just another conflict at this stage. So it's gonna happen like in phases, right? So now they say at this point, game agent is a problem. So let's go there. That's fine. Where's my base game agent class? Cool. Okay, this is one thing. I think in this case we can accept both. I don't know why it's probably just like the line number that's causing it a bit of an issue there. But I can accept both changes and just like reorder this here. I don't know if that's the only issue, but kind of looks like it. All right. So we're going to do this until there's no more issues, essentially. So we're going to add serpent. I forgot everything about Git, me too. Nice. Yeah, no, it can take a second. So see, when you do this every day, because you're working, like I said, with a team and everyone's working on a feature branch or a bug fix or something, you do this stuff daily. Like it's been 1 year since I worked in a team, man. So it's been a while since I rebased my own shit. Let alone like just work on two features at the same time and have to like merge one in and then bring, you know, rebase the other one on the latest step. I haven't done that a lot. I've been working pretty sequentially. I've been working on multiple projects, but within one project, I haven't really worked on two things at once. It's kind of like the first time I took a break from a larger feature to work on a smaller one. Jessica Mack with a pretty massive host. How was the stream today? Thank you very much for this. I appreciate it. Thank you. I am just getting started here. We're just like messing up some Git stuff. really barely getting started. But I really appreciate this. Thank you very much. If you don't know what Jessica does, it's actually pretty interesting. It's a bunch of like, it's pretty much like I like to say the opposite of what I do here. It is pretty more like low level, like shader systems programming stuff. It's actually pretty fascinating. I do lurk quite a bit in there, so definitely go and check it out if you don't know, you haven't seen a stream like that before. It's actually pretty interesting. Warming up some line breaks, yeah, absolutely. I'm just warming up my fingers. I had to de-ice my car like seconds, like maybe no, not seconds. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but there was like probably like an inch of ice on all my like my whole car, and I'm not the type of person that, I'm still a kid, man. I don't wear gloves or anything, so my fingers are like all sorts of frozen. All right, so let's keep going with our rebase. We're in rebase land right now, basically, so we're having fun. Did I not add it? Oh, I added Serpent Pie like a dummy again. Whoops. It's game agent, and then this, and then it's done, and then we should be good. Yeah. All right. Perfect. So I should have all my my new stuff in there. Let's go and see. One way we can tell pretty quickly is looking at the game agent class, see if there's a, and I'm going to tell you what we do here in a second. Just give me a sec. I need to find it. Visual Studio Code is having a bad day. But in that base game agent class, we did change a few things to collect frames for context. And it should... No, that's the setup. Okay, wait. Yeah, no, perfect. See the whole screen region code stuff. That's what we added in the other feature branch. So what I do here, just in case you're joining and never seen what we do here, I work on this framework pretty much exclusively. I did take a break for a while, but I do work on this framework pretty exclusively. It's a Python framework where you can... So Python 4 for the fact that it's pretty much like a popular solution for you know, like machine learning, AI, scientific like computing stuff. Let's not pretend like Python does that. It's mostly Python that's really good at wrapping like C++ stuff. And I'm just orchestrating bigger systems with Python here. But it is a Python framework, so you actually implement your stuff in Python. And it allows you to turn games, any game that you can think of. It could be in your Steam library, it could be like on a web page, it could be an executable that you have. And it allows you to turn that into a sandbox for machine learning experiments. So like you can see on that GIF here, right? So you can turn that, and there's a lot of supporting modules and stuff like that that can help you build these experiments and experiment with all sorts of like deep learning, reinforcement learning libraries. That's what we do here, right? So it's a framework. So I don't necessarily always build experiments like this. I do spend a lot of time developing features and improving the framework. But that's pretty much what this channel is about. So if you like Python or machine learning, or even like reinforcement learning leading to, you know, maybe one day AI, it might be your jam. All right, cool. All right, nice. So I'm ready to continue here. Let's try to show you what we had so far. There wasn't too much since the refactor. I'm actually working on the feature right now just to kind of like continue what I just talked about, the framework. I'm working on the feature right now that's a pretty big feature for the next release. And that feature is recording player inputs with a keyboard while they're playing a game, right, from the framework. So it's a pretty massive one. I've made some prototypes. I've made some mistakes. Some mistakes were made, but I will figure it out. I do have a new way that's definitely solid, definitely more legit. and we're gonna get there. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just launch a game that we have a plugin for that I created. So in Serpent AI, when you want to support a game, you just like generate a plugin. So there is a code generation for you that will generate like a nice template for a plugin. And oh, I'm in Project DC. That's why. Never mind, dude. I'm gonna just like rebuild this for a second. Where's my non-git stuff? Python. There we go. Yeah. And once the egg is rebuilt, now I can use my Serpent command. So I'm gonna do Serpent launch. So that's using the plugin. It's not directly calling like something through Steam or something to call to launch the game. It's a Puka. So you can intervene, right? You can intervene if you want. You can have some hooks in there, do some stuff. Like I'm using a bit of a callback here to skip the launcher of the game, which is a different window, and I don't start like looking at the game window until I'm past the launcher. So you can always like just do your own logic there. I'm gonna bring it to the game itself, although it doesn't really matter that much right now. And I'm just gonna kill the player like right away. It's a Pedota. Everyone's like, what's up? All right, nice. So the game is launched. This is the launch command actually returns, right? So it's not something that will just like keep running, but it actually sets up your game window, like everything the way you want, like resolution, like it pins it to the top left corner, which is kind of like a convention, but you could technically do what you want. And then from there, you can run some other commands, right? So the one I'm working on right now is Serpent record, and now you can laugh at me because I can't say this word right. I'm trying, I'm trying my best, but I always say it like a record, like the music stuff. All right, so Serpent record, and I'm gonna need sudo in this case. This is the only command so far that requires it, just because technically it is a bit of a keylogger, right? But for the right reasons. It's not a keylogger that hides itself or anything. You actually launch it yourself, and you give it like the super user stuff. But I do need that on Linux, for example, and hopefully on other OSs to listen to global key presses at the OS level, right? Record 0. Right. Sup fam, T-15 till my physics lecture. Are you gonna stream that, or is that just like another? You'll be fine, man. Just a nice big sip of whiskey or scotch before Big J. You got this shit. You got it. François, that was not really helpful. I still don't know how you say this. Like, all right, but you can say like, with the same thing, right? Cannibal, which is not the name of the game itself, but it's just the plugin again, right? Yeah. And I like viewers never stream a physics lecture. I think you'd be surprised, Big J, man. Yeah. No, that's it. Right. And this is something I also run on. So it's good advice, right, Robert? It's actually good advice, but it's also something I run on all platforms. So I don't want to generalize or just say like you need to add yourself. I'd rather people explicitly give permission every time than to just like have something they do once and forget that they did, and then the code here can do whatever it wants. It could be bad technically, like if people don't always confirm and they install a plugin from someone else, for example. Of course, like if you're a developer, you hope that they would read the code in that plugin, but you never know, right? So I don't want to. I'd rather people do this manually every time, especially since it's going to work differently on Windows and Mac OS and stuff like that, right? So Serpent record Cannibal, I have to give it a game agent. That's mostly just in case we have reward functions, right? Reward functions are mostly like a reinforcement learning thing. You're not obligated by any means in Serpent AI. Serpent AI is not like a OpenAI, like Jim or Universe. You don't have to provide reward functions. You don't have to make it work like in the reinforcement learning loop. However, it does support that sort of stuff optionally. Because it's still a very, very cool thing, hot thing right now. But you don't have to do it, right? So Cannibal game agent. And when I do this, that should be enough. I don't think I have any other params here. You can just give it a password for this. And eventually it's gonna initialize the framework a bit, and then it's gonna tell me it's ready for me to play. And when I do that, right? Think you should start the framework from scratch. Yeah, it looks like Dope is just like kidding around, but it's like it was a recent comment in the Discord, which was kind of funny. Did I fuck up? Yeah, I think I might have fucked up. All right, I did crash one of them. All right, let me stop here. Oh, no, we're not playing this game. No. Let me do just a quick thing. You didn't see anything, chat. We're all good. All right, everything is good. This one is definitely my problem. So it is an orphan process that's not supposed to happen, and it's also running as root. So if I didn't, yeah, no, I'm not gonna be able to kill this motherfucker. All right. Rip. Yeah, no, rip. Just because right now, while I'm developing this, if any of the two components crash, like it's gonna orphan the process. I need to really be careful. So we managed to do that with the frame recorder, the frame grabber successfully. Right, so it was not a problem. I just have to make sure that I don't forget like the zombie processes if I do mess up and there is a crash. But okay, so this is probably a bug actually, because I'm assuming there is a frame transformation pipeline in line 70 of frame grabbers. So let's go and see what's up. Control C. Yes, that's everyone's favorite game. Yeah, because doing it more than once definitely helps. Absolutely. It's just like it totally helps. It drives the point home. Yeah, why don't you write it so it reads generically? Yeah, I know. I totally messed up, chat. We're probably gonna scrap it. I think I'm gonna go on GitHub and delete the repository, and just like like maybe I'm gonna take a year off or something, and then like kind of come back and write this thing from scratch. That's sometimes the advice I get in Discord, so I'm really sensitive with that stuff. So I'm gonna deeply consider it. Maybe it's time for me to rethink the framework from the ground up. Yeah. It's good. It builds patience, it builds character to do that stuff publicly. It's all good. It actually is rewarding in its own way. That's not always immediately obvious, but it does work. We keep doing the same things. Yeah, maybe it will work at some point. Absolutely. Yes, maybe that 11th Control C is gonna be the one that makes the difference. Yeah. All right. So where's this issue? It's in the frame grabber. I did see 170. I think no, 170 is not aligned, so it's definitely not that. It's 70. All right. So there is a conditional at 70 that says this here, right? If self.transformation pipeline string, and then it complained about. Well, that's weird because I'm checking for the existence first. Why would it complain about? Oh, because the transformation pipeline itself doesn't exist when we don't have a string. Maybe that's what's up. Yeah. Is the plugin plugged in? Yes. Nice. A hello chat. Nice. Good stuff. All right, let's go. So in the initial, yeah, that's the thing. I actually set this guy's gonna be none. Fuck. All right, what's the plan here? What's the plan? I don't want to make this like a and. But I don't want to do anything because this conditional is not going to work at all. If there is no. But I do need also. Okay, I'm gonna just like, wiggle this shit around. We're gonna fix it. I'm just gonna redo this. So this is gonna be my default behavior. I think I can figure it out. All right, it's just a matter of like like wiggling the pieces around until it kind of like falls together. It's gonna work. Are there plug outs? That's actually a good question. All right, so this is going to be my default. No, it can't be. That's the problem. It can't be. No. I can't do it like this. Fuck. Because I'm assuming there is a frame array, but if it's a PNG, it's going to be frame bytes, another frame array. So I can't do it that way. Fuck, this is... I think I have to do it. I have to do the long conditional. It's going to look like shit. But we could do that. Or I could make a little helper function. Maybe that would be the nicest way to go about this. Oops. I can't delete the useful stuff. Oh. All right, let's go. That's how it was. All right, that's how it was. My problem... Yeah, let's make a helper function for... Okay. I'm going to make it at the end here before the class method. I'm going to do def underscore has PNG. Oops. Wow, I can't type. my fingers are still frozen. Has PNG transformation pipeline. All right, so just going to make a little helper function. That's going to clean it up a bit. Has PNG transformation pipeline. We're still trying to fix stuff before we get working on the actual feature. Has PNG, yeah. This should all be doable from just like the scope of the instance. So there's no problem there. And then I'm gonna copy this guy here. And I'm just gonna hide the ugliness a bit. It's still gonna be ugly, but it's gonna be return this and this and this. All right. Now I could let like Pepe do this thing, but I'm not exactly sure it's gonna do a good job. So I'll start with if self.frame transformation pipeline is not none or is actually a thing, right? So none is definitely a falsy value. So self.frame transformation pipeline and this, right? So if all of these are true, it would actually mean that it has a PNG transformation pipeline. So something like this. So I'm still keeping the ugliness around, but at least it's not going to be in the way of reading stuff. Can game devs use this to test? I've never had people do this, man. Like I've never had people do that, but I guess why not? Because you can technically automate actions, right? So maybe not smart actions, but yeah, there's definitely a future where even like potentially, I wouldn't say AI or anything, but like machine learning models that are exploring their environments, like could discover issues. Who knows? Like maybe in like 5 years, that's going to be a common thing. It's totally possible because reinforcement learning right now has a lot of exploration, like in its like vocabulary. So you can definitely like have functions that dictate how an agent is supposed to explore its environment, right? So yeah. No, I can see where, like, right now it's not there. I think we're still missing a few key pieces for this stuff, but yes, I can see a future where that's a thing. Absolutely. I mean, like, game companies might become motivated by this eventually if it makes sense financially, right? So if you can demonstrate that you can make some sort of like setup like this with multiple little machine learning models to help with testing, and they see that financially it's a plus, they might start like funding that sort of stuff. All right, so I just decided to hide this EU disgusting thing, and I'm going to replace it. Where was it happening before? Here, right? So if this, so if self dot and it should be the underscore, yeah, like this, right? Then we're going to do it like this. Okay, cool. I'm going to rebuild the lib. And I'm going to show you, hopefully, something that works here. Why is it still... How is it still running? I killed it in HTOP. I don't know why my window is not returning. What's going on? The whole stuff in... Oh, this guy... Okay, that's weird. So this guy's still running. But it got separated from its input recorder. Interesting. I was not planning for that to happen. Whoops, that's not the one I need to. I don't remember if I rebuild this just in case. All right, there we go. Try again. So I'm recording. This is the one-liner to record like gameplay that we have right now. It in dev, absolutely in dev. It's a work in progress. Trying to work on that. And it is kind of like working already. All right, let's. I forgot to add self. That's a small one. It's a small deal. I just need to add self here because it's an instance method. Oh yeah, we're gonna play this game again. Every time I crash, fuck. Every time I crash, I'm gonna have to make sure that I find the orphan process. It's not a problem. It's not gonna be a problem in the framework. I'm definitely not gonna pass this on to the user. It's just like while it's in development, I do get these little situations that are, well, possible and also a little annoying. So I have to make sure the orphan process. Maybe it never got started because it crashed before. Yeah, I think we're good on that one. You know, I didn't really have the time to start this time around. It crashed before, so I'm gonna get rid of this one. Ah, come on. There you go. I probably rebuilt it. I'm just redoing the same thing over and over again. This again. And what it actually captures is really, really precise, right? So it knows like all the key ups and downs, removes the repeating keys. Because if you hold a key down, it's actually going to repeat the down event on the machine. On like the OS is going to rebroadcast that event like over and over again. All right, so there you go. Now it says start playing the game. Focus out when you're done. I guess I'm going to start playing the game. And I just played the game. That's it. Once you run this and it works, you just focus on playing the game with whatever keys. So the mouse is still planned, but for now it's mostly keyboard support. There were issues with segfaults with the mouse. I haven't really had the time to get into that, so we'll see what happens. But the mouse is definitely going to be coming. I just have to figure out how to make it work. But it's already pretty cool. So this game only has like me pressing space essentially. But I just play, right? I just play, and it's recording what I'm doing. It's also recording well, we have to work on the frame thing still. But we have all the code. It's just a matter of reorganizing it, because the first approach did not really work out that well. But you'll see that if let's just say I don't make the next jump or something, I die, all right? And if I focus out of the game, it'll actually spit out all that it's recorded during my gameplay session, according with their timestamps, right? Everything with their timestamps. It should have, at least, unless it didn't start my my process. I just restarted the I just merged in like a branch and rebased on them, so there could be a few like weird thingies. I don't know why it didn't spit out like anything. That is not what's supposed to happen. All right, interesting. Do we have a process that's recording? Doesn't look like it. No. Okay, so maybe next time before before playing it, I'm gonna look to see if it actually launches it or not, because it's a bit of a waste of time. Finally learning how to oh wow, nice, good stuff. Essential, actually. You're gonna spend so much time doing that, H1, so really good stuff. Interesting. Why is it not starting the recorder anymore? Yeah. How does the framework know there? Okay, so the framework is not. This is something I started to say recently. It's not an AI, right? I think you understand that, but how would you detect that it's a game over? It's kind of like on you to do that, right? So you could train something that recognizes like whole frames and makes a like a classification. Like model, it can classify stuff, but you could also use like actual image data to see like if something has a certain structure to recognize it. It's kind of up to you, right? So it doesn't feel the pain and suffering of a loss like that. No, it's up to you. It's up to you. The framework doesn't make these decisions. It does provide ways to do it, but it's not going to make the decision for you. So it's not. So that's it. It's not an AI. It's a platform that allows you to work on game agents and AIs and reinforcement learning stuff and everything. So it doesn't know like that it's a game over unless you do a bit of work. But it's not a lot of work. It provides a lot of tools to get you to recognize that. So now it says like do it, right? So I can do it, but if I go here, it doesn't look like it's actually launching anything, which is a little. Oh no, it does. It is. Look at that. It is. So I do have my Serpent record Cannonball game is yeah, and then it's also running in the background as a separate process that it's tracking Serpent record inputs. So why didn't I get anything last time? It's interesting. If I go back to this, also for detecting audio, there's nothing for audio right now, so it's mostly frame based. But I do agree that audio is technically like input for games, for humans. So I'm trying to bring this as close to how a human would perceive a game, right? So you literally just look at your screen and hear stuff. That's it. Like there's no, you don't know the internal state of the games yourself. Like you don't have. So that's why like all these projects that use like APIs. Of course it's convenient, and of course they can do impressive shit, but that's not exactly advancing anything because you're just like seeing something that a player would not see, right? You don't see the internal state of games. You have to infer it from what you see yourself, like as on the screen. So all these experiments that do impressive things, it's still impressive, it's still entertaining, it's still like nice achievements. But it's not like just because you're reading memory or you're actually accessing an API doesn't mean you're really making any sort of progress to bring generalized like agents to the field, because you're just like cheating essentially and getting all the information. So of course, like when I'm doing this is sort of ahead of its time. Not to brag, like absolutely quite the opposite. It's ahead of its time in the sense that I don't think the science necessarily is there already to do everything visually, but we have started seeing some interesting stuff visually, right? That can kind of reuse the same, just like it sees, right? And it can kind of learn with some sort of like exploration policy. It knows what it can do, and it just tries stuff, and then so it's ahead of its time in that sense that we haven't all. It's a tool that was created before the science and the research was completed for that stuff. We might still be pretty far out in terms of like when that thing's gonna happen, that breakthrough is gonna happen. But I'd like to build a platform still like in that sense. Now that doesn't mean like just to be clear, it doesn't mean that you can't read memory, right? So we have someone Barry that I haven't seen in a while, but he was working on a Trackmania thing, and he decided that he wanted to read memory. And I was like, you know what? That's cool because the framework allows you to do that, right? It won't provide all the tools, but technically it's just Python. So if you want to bring in libraries to do your own stuff inside of your game frame handler, that's up to you, right? That's up to you. So he was actually like supplementing the frame data with some memory information, right? So he was doing that. So you can do that. What's up more? He was doing that, right? So that you can do it. It's not going to be like it is orchestrated in a way that's going to be feeding frames to a handler in a loop as fast as possible, right? But if you want to do like roll out your own stuff, it's not going to be in the way. It's still just Python code in the end, right? So if you want to hook into memory, call some APIs, whatever, you're free to do that. So I'm just a little confused as to why even though the process is there, it doesn't seem to catch my key presses. It's a little interesting. It's supposed to read the Redis stuff when we're gonna have to work on that first, I guess. Then now if I do Control C while it's paused, I think it's gonna shut down its child process. It should. Yes. All right, so that's at least something that we have that's going for us. I know why. Because I in my other branch I deactivated the pipeline, the transformation pipeline, and I kind of need it for this. I think that's why. I'm not sure. No, it's not why. It makes no sense. It has nothing to do with that. Last scene. That's a little. I don't want to use that one too much because it's a little, like not creepy, but like people are like they can leave and come back. It's okay. I don't need to. There's never a pressure to do anything. So a lot of people do that. Like they leave like for 3 months, and then you see them like 3 months later. It's okay, man. I don't. I was just pointing out that Barry was the one that I remember was using memory reading on top of the frames. Well, this is really interesting. I don't know why. I really do not know why. Unless Redis is having some sort of like issues or something. It doesn't look like it. Why is it not saving anymore? And I did add the transformation pipeline back. I don't know, like, is it really gonna make it work if I add this back? It makes no sense, because the input recorder should just do its thing. Oh, now we're having more issues. Great. It was working before I changed the branch, and I don't know what's going on. Like all I did is go back to like save what I had, go back to dev, work on another feature branch for a day, and then rebase the dev. And now all of a sudden, like this guy doesn't really want to do anything. It was just supposed to be a, hey chat, here's what we have so far, right? But it's turning out doesn't seem like it really cares, man. We're gonna have to run this thing like step by step, I guess. Keep exiting this thing. I guess we can just, you know, like give it another shot, but I think it's still gonna be a problem. And if it's still a problem, we're gonna go like step by step. I think that's what we're gonna do, right? We're just gonna go and say, you know what, let's follow this thing. Okay, so it really does not like one sort of byte that's coming in. Why is it trying to convert to UINT8? It should not try to convert that. That's just a PNG byte. It could be my latest change here that I did. It's in. So welcome to programming live streams where everything seems good and then everything goes to shit, and then you just see the emotional roller coaster that the developer is going through. That's what that's usually the deal. That's usually the deal. So we do ship stuff, but you get to see the what you don't get to see a lot of that. All right, so I think it's this here. So I was saying self transformation pipeline and self, so that's the thing too. And this thing ends with PNG. This is programming live, not just programming live streams. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh, okay. So more this podcasting. I'm going to talk about the podcast a little later. But since you're asking, the last one, the first episode that we had, some whoopsies happened. It was a fresh Twitch account, and we didn't enable the VODs, and no one recorded it, so we kind of lost it. But this time around, we're not going to make the same mistake. So there is, we're looking at like the audio platforms, but it's going to be on Twitch for sure, as a VOD, as an upload. And then we're going to see what we can do for audio platforms if you just want to listen to it, right? So the first one, there was a bit of a nice, we all looked at each other and we were just like, when's the last time you created a Twitch account? And we were just like, yeah, I know. So we didn't know, we didn't realize that VODs are off by default. So we ran the podcasting and it was just, episode 0. Yeah, that's it. We're just going to pretend like that was the pilot or the episode 0. I did call this one episode 2, but then I kind of regret this. We should have called it 1. It's gonna be confusing if you have your exports to the audio platforms. It's gonna be like yeah, it starts at 2. Where is episode 1? I don't know. Okay, so apparently what I did, it does not work. All right, so this whole little function here that I was using, does not work because I am not entering this gear. It is trying to cast to Uint 8 somewhere. So I did not really realize that it was a... Okay, so let's try to do this. Let's try to do something like this. Yeah, the pilot. Yeah, that's it. It's gonna be the pilot. I'm just adding like a dirty print statement here. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it this way. Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to wrestle with this thing. Fucking hell, dude. I don't want to do this. Like the whole like other process locking and because now this one doesn't respond. If I do that, this one doesn't respond to like make control C's. Or I did. Yeah, no, I didn't. I had to kill it manually. So I did rebuild this guy. So if you don't know what the podcast is, by the way, I can use a bit of an like there is something. There is a channel, right? There is a team. First of all, it's called Brain Bites on Twitch, and Mr. William Shear is hosting us with 60. Nice, thank you, man. William is working on his Steam game that's upcoming. If you haven't seen it, you like crazy visual shit, and you like to see like awesome game dev, do check him out. All right, William Shear. Thank you for that, host, man. Appreciate it. I am in the middle of post merge was working but is not working anymore feature for the SerpentAI framework. So if you guys are coming from William's stream, what I do here is I work on a framework, a machine learning / AI / game agent framework that's implemented in Python that allows you to turn your games into machine learning experiments, or a sandbox for machine learning experiments, AI experiments. So as you see new papers come out, like with reinforcement learning research or computer vision research, it kind of helps you experiment with that stuff in games. Yes, both William and Jessica. Yes, absolutely. So welcome here. That's what we do here, right? So it's Python, but it's not Python like web or anything. It's more like Python. It's more like Python machine learning, like AI and stuff like that. So I'm currently working on a feature to record. It's a little ambitious, and it was working fine. And I don't know what happened. We worked on a different feature for a while, and then I just did some Git garbage before today, and now all of a sudden my what I had as a work in progress is not working anymore. But it's a feature to record player gameplay with any game, right? So you can do a one-liner with the Serpent framework, and it's going to record your key presses along with the frames and everything in a packed binary file, right? So with any game, you could technically collect that stuff. Look at this Mimi guy, Vlahati. Thank you, dude. All right. So yeah, you can record like it doesn't matter which game. It could be a browser game. It could be like a game they have on your Steam account. But you can record like what people are doing with the keyboard, eventually the mouse. But I'm having a bit of issues with the mouse at the moment because this thing has to work on all 3 platforms. It's not just Linux. I develop on Linux, but I also make it work on Windows and Mac, because let's not kid ourselves. Like the gaming scene is still there. It's still on Windows, right? So I'm supporting this. You guys are just fucking. All right, more is also all right. Thank you, dudes. All right, I can do that too. Yeah, I know. All right, so that's what we're working on. It's a bit of a cool thing, and you might ask like, why do you want to record like player input in games? Well, it's a super nice data set to build machine learning models with. Right, so that's kind of like the goal, and it's going to work for multiple applications. One fun one, if you're not too familiar with, did you also do it, Francois? God damn it. One application for this that's probably like for people that are not as familiar with machine learning would be to just like record yourself playing like a level or something, and then you could just build a static model with that, right? You could just like build a model that considers the visual data and the keyboard data and whatever, and tries to emulate your gameplay, right? Tries to emulate your own gameplay. But there's another more interesting one, another use case for this, right? And it's to be able to have better starts for your neural networks, right? So you could technically like train it on that input, and then instead of initializing your neural nets with random weights, you would essentially start like as a baseline from the player, and then apply the exploration policy for the reinforcement learning on top of that player. So you're not starting from randomness, you're starting from something that resembles good gameplay, and then the agent can kind of like optimize that and try to get better than that, right? All right. Does it learn every game you throw at it, or does it need to be... No, it's not like a, it's not an AI, right? It's not like an alpha like 0 or something. It's a framework that allows people to build their own stuff, right? So if you have to know some machine learning a little bit to work with this. Yeah, you have to know a little bit, but it automates a lot of like painful stuff, and it gives you a lot of modules to work with machine learning stuff, like computer vision stuff and image processing and so on and so forth. There's OCR, all of that stuff. There's an analytics client, there's a streaming API, there's a lot of stuff that's pretty useful in there, right? Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It provides tooling. Yes, it's more of a, yeah. So it's really hard to communicate what it is, right? Because people see AI and they're like, oh, it's an AI. It's just like yes and no. I mean, like you can take it there, but it's really more for people to experiment with, right? And it's plugin based. I like that it's plugin based. That was one of my goals, because we can share stuff, right? So if I make an awesome plugin that supports a game, provides like a base API and a few things to work with a specific game, I could publish only that plugin for that game, and someone could get that part and work on an agent using my game plugin for the game support, right? So it's plugin based so that people can share their implementations. So it's not just like you're not working in a silo, or it's not a black box or anything. You can share your work with other people, right? All right, now to discover why it's not. First of all, detecting that it's PNG bytes, right? That's my first issue. It's the first thing I'm worried about ever since we did this merge. So I'm gonna rebuild this thing. It's a little painful. Could I technically do something else? No. Oh, I remember. Okay, wait. I just remembered that. I don't need to add the PNG anymore. I don't know if I did, because I auto add it when it's recording. I forgot that part. So if I did add PNG to the transformation pipeline, I did. Okay, that's dumb, because it's going to try to do PNG twice. That's the issue. That's one issue. That's probably not the issue, but it's one for sure. All right, so let's rebuild the package. Try it again to see where it takes us. Probably not going to be a success, but maybe we're going to get out of this this little issue, like place we're stuck. Have fun, stream, spam some during the podcast night. Yeah, it's pretty late over there. Sleep well, dude. Have a good time. Yeah, see, now it's recording. It's realizing that it's PNG. That's my beautiful. That's how I debug here. So you're welcome. All right, and then it tells me like start playing the game. Cool, there's a bit of a lag, but then we go, and I can start pressing keys and playing the game. So see, I don't even give a shit as to what's going on the right hand side. I'm gonna try to play Canavalt to the best of my ability here, right? That's the best of my ability apparently, and then I can focus out, and it still doesn't work. It still doesn't like print out the keys for some reason. So that part is not working, but at least we unfucked up the other part. So that's a bit of progress there. I just want to make sure that there's no orphan process, because these guys will kill my computer in like a second, because they are really intensive on the CPU. Now we're good. Okay. So why is it still not recording? Like something's going on in the recorder, like the input recorder right now. So we can move on to that. I can remove my garbage PNG print, because we are entering that conditional now. That's cool. You guys are just like everyone's just having a good time hosting this. All right, all right. Thank you for that. I still thank you for that. Like, good stuff. Thank you, Lard. Okay. So frame grabber, no, we're good. It's the input recorder. They have to see what's going on, right? So we initialize a Redis client like globally in this thing. Then we have this. We initialize that straight up. We don't really like get any sort of args. And then I set up a hook. And then I spits into why? You don't like my host? Well, you guys are just like, what are you guys doing? It's setting up the hook and then it's blocking. And this is the one thing I was questioning. Like, do I want to maybe throttle this a bit because that's gonna peg the CPU? The answer is probably yes. But anytime I sleep, even if it's for a really small amount of time, there's a chance that it would technically miss a key press. So the more that happens, not very good, not very good, right? Man, which type of ML you're using? A lot of stuff. So I'm essentially working on the framework itself, right? So I spend a lot of time working on the features themselves. I'm not always like working on experiments with ML, but I did a bunch of stuff with games. But namely, like I did some more simple stuff with, like stochastic gradient descent, so just like SGD in simpler games, right? So I thought a thing. I thought an agent that matched tiles from nothing in You Must Build a Boat. And then I have worked with reinforcement learning stuff, not the cutting edge shit necessarily, but it's always implemented in the framework itself. So I've worked with like DQN, DQN, but not with perhaps like too complex of inputs. So I've never really had like conclusive results. But I'm not going to beat myself up about it because at the same time, like all the DQN stuff that's been kind of working, people have been having a lot of issues like getting successes with DQNs outside of like super simple scenarios like the card pull stuff or the Atari game set, which is just 80 by 80 16 color. So mathematical space is relatively small in these, right? All right. But I'm open to trying more stuff. Actually, the idea is that this thing doesn't restrain you or anything. It's a platform to support you in these things, right? So you can kind of focus on your own ML. So if you have a specific type of, if you have a specific algorithm or approach you want to try, you can always do it. You can always do it. Like you can just bring your own stuff in, right? Because it provides structure. It will allow you to transform the games into the sandbox itself. There's a lot of supporting modules, as you can see here. So there's a lot of supporting modules, but everything's sort of optional except the actual loop itself. So you can bring your own stuff if you want to. Yes, I'm trying to find. I'm trying to trace like what's going to happen here and what's causing it to not, like do anything. Essentially, so I get that part that where it creates it will clear up the previous keys. That's good. And then when I start it should install the hook and just pass it the key, like the actual callback. And I just want to print out here, perhaps to see if it even sees the keys. I want to know if it's a Redis like writing issue or does it not even see the keys anymore. So let's try this. Oh, I forgot the password thing. All right, cool. Same struggles. Damn. No waste. Yeah, you don't waste that shit. All right, so I rebuilt. I'm always paranoid. Like I never remember even if I just did, I don't remember that I. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to run it again, but this time we should have at least some sort of output when I press keys. And if I don't see that, there's a bigger problem. If I do see it, it's probably an issue with writing or reading. So we'll see. I'm gonna have to suppress the warnings eventually before we ship it too, because it's kind of like might scare off a few people. All right, start playing the game. All right, I'm doing that. No, it's not. It's not getting the keys. It's not getting the keys. Because I should see the output of my sub process that I'm monitoring here. So anything that's print here. What the fuck is going on? I'm a little disappointed. So it's possible it never gets to this. Essentially, it never gets to this part. That's the first step. Does it even initialize the input recorder, like whatsoever? Right. Are you watching the right file? What do you mean the right file? You mean the right window? Well, it doesn't matter because once I launch the input recorder, it's like a global. It's like a global. Watching a log file. No. What I know where I'm expecting it to show up. Essentially, I know where I'm expecting it to show up. So fuck, man. I don't know. Like I don't know why it doesn't show at all. And let me try to just do it with the initialize. Yo. This is weird. It was working. Like I said, nothing changed. Like except if something on my system, you know, like just like went to shit or something. Now, if we don't see that yo, well, I could see that yo. There's a possibility we won't see it. Because sometimes it clears the terminal when it does that stuff, but if I scroll back up, I should see it. No, it's there. See, it initializes it. No problem. So it is able to print out some stuff. Right? It's the init doesn't call the start, but that's fine. If I go to my command, my actual command itself, which is here, there is one that's named, where's that? Record inputs. All right, so it's initializing it like without a parameter or anything. It's initializing the input recorder. That's how you saw the yo, and then it calls the start on it. Therefore, it installs the hook. And this is to prevent it from returning, of course, because otherwise it would just like kill the process and then, of course, lose the hook. So I'm blocking it aggressively like this. So when this is running, it should be using like 100% CPU. We're going to eventually throttle it back to something that works. But for now, that's what's going on. And then I have this on keyboard event that says like, hey, whenever you see a keyboard event, make sure to forward that event along to on keyboard event. That's right here, right? Is it because it's paused? Is it because it's paused in Redis for some reason? That would be a really stupid thing, because it would have nothing to do with the code. It's possible that it's paused. Wait. Maybe the flag for some reason got left to pause for, you know, like it got set to pause. I think that's what it is. Oh man, that's a nice gotcha there. So I probably stopped it at some point where the flag was set to pause. Let me check in Redis. All right, so if I check Serpent inputs paused, which should be the key that tells me the flag that holds the flag, and it's not a list, so I can just go get on it. What is Redis? God damn, I'm gonna have to get you that Redis Bible, dude. All right, Redis is God. You know the answer. You know the answer. It is set to fucking pause. God damn it. All right, so there's fucking hell, dude. I have to reset these flags when I start the client, essentially. I forgot that part. So that's why there's no bug, chat. It's just because there is a flag that sets it to be paused. And then it doesn't capture anything. It just like discards every capture when it's paused. No magic, no bullshit. Just like an oversight that just cost me like I don't know, like 15 minutes. Pause key. All right, cool. So I'm just gonna get rid of them. And look at this magic. Like, look at what's gonna happen. No, yeah, you can smile. You can smile because you know if you program, like you've been bitten in the ass with that stuff before. Like you know it. It's that sort of stuff. Yeah, exactly. Smile all you want, chat. That's totally what it is. Oh, it's always stuff like that, man. It's always stuff like this. Yeah, yeah. No, there is no bug. It actually works the way it's intending to. I just forgot my own rules, essentially, right? So it's supposed to respect the pause flag. Like I just didn't think that the pause flag would have like still been set from some other like yeah. Everyone with their fucking smiles. I love it. Just like, yeah, like smirk. Oh, I deserve it. But then again, it's like when it respects your own system so well that you get owned by your own logic, like in the future. It's amazing. Surely my past self would not have thought of these things, right? So I'm doubting past self, essentially. I'm just saying, like, my past self would have not done it that way, and I get owned by that. All right, so now it says start playing the game, and it should, since I didn't really remove the print thing. Hey, look at that! Now we're seeing like some key names when I. Hey, it's like magic, you know? Wow. Now it's actually capturing them. Fantastic, right? And if I just like smash my keyboard, right? Everything's there. The delay's the print. It's not the All right, cool. And and what I was showing, the whole reason I did all this was to show you what happens when I focus out of the game, not to show the key presses. When I focus out of the game, it's going to replay the entire sequence of keys. And that gets people to understand what I'm doing the wrong way. So I'm not going to store these things sequentially. It's not a matter of recording like after X seconds, like this key was pressed, right? So it's just, but it's still important for me to have the timestamps and the order of things because I need to reconcile them with actual frames. So the key capture is done in a separate process that's only dedicated to logging the key presses in the game. And I don't want to interrupt that for other bullshit, right? So this guy has its own responsibility. All it does is capture keys, record key presses, store them in Redis with the timestamp and a little bit of meta information. That's it, right? On the other end, in my game agent, I'm going to be storing the frames. And then when we focus out of the game, I'm going to be going through all the events that I recorded keyboard-wise. I'm going to try to find the frame sequence that's associated with that and associate it, right? So it's a mix. It's a mix of two things, and it's better to do it after the fact for performance reasons, right? So I want to capture my frames as fast as possible, store them at least as fast as possible because the capture is also a separate process. And I want to capture my record. I want to record stuff, and with the timestamps, I want to be able to just reconcile the data set and then save it to the file. What game is this? Cannibal. It's not my game. All right, so I'm using this game as a test for my feature. But when I do focus out, right? See, and now it's going to clear it out. But if I exit out and I do perhaps a zoom, and then show you what happens if I scroll up. See, now you see exactly what happened with the timestamps, right? The exact timestamp. So this is the serialized event essentially, right? So it's like, hey, key space. Why is it named like this? That's technically me that's naming it like this because I can map that to my enumeration. That's how I communicate keyboard like keys essentially in the framework. And then if it's a down or up, all right. So down obviously is when you press it down, and up is when you release it. And the actual timestamp for this, and these timestamps are ordered, right? So I have the full sequence, and I can do this for hours. It would still work. It would still be able to go through the entire sequence. So now what's left is associating these timestamps with the frames that we were storing. And last time I did pose a problem. I did pitch a problem to chat. What I said was, well, it's kind of like if someone will play this for hours, like maybe an hour or two to build the data set, what's going to be one issue? Well, all the frames that we get in from the framework, they're raw, like, you know, they're raw frames, they're raw images, they're just like bitmaps, zero compression, and these things are pretty big, man. These things are pretty big. So an hour or two of gameplay, rip, your RAM is gone. I cannot store everything. But what we did, I did say like I had an idea, and it turned out that it sort of works. What we can do is actually like in the frame grabber, I added an instruction to our pipeline, optional, to compress them as we capture them to PNG, right? And then store that in Redis, store the PNG bytes instead. And now all of a sudden, what was, you know, like 2 megs is now like 4 kilobytes, because that's how big the uncompressed like byte, like frame array, whatever, like image array is. Right? So like all the gameplay frames, like most of them, Anshi, like you'll see. I'll work with the the frames like pretty much like in the next. I mean, I might take a little break just to make a coffee or something. Use the you know, the restroom. I'll be back though. So give me like 5 minutes, and when I get back, I'm gonna start working on the frame side of these things, because recording the timestamps and the key presses, that seems to be pretty satisfactory, right? The way it works right now. So there's no interruptions. We're not missing out on any keys. We have like what the key is, what the event is, and its timestamp. So that's pretty solid information. We can capture this for hours on that side of things, and we're good. Last time I did work on making that PNG compression available inside of the frame grabbing itself, which is a separate process. And then now we're going to reconcile in the agent. That's going to be the current task. And this is a bit of an involved task. Like there may be a little bit of trial and error, but I have to find the appropriate candidates to associate with these key presses. Yeah. Wouldn't it be better to record the game objects position? Well, how would you do that? It's because this is not a project to work with Canabalt, right? This is a project like to work with any game. So what's your proposition to make something like that work for every game as a general purpose type of thing? Right, I'm working with frames because that's universal for every game or whatever we capture. If you want to work with like game memory and stuff like that, you can, but it's a very very like tailored to a single game type of approach. I'm building a framework. That's not what I'm building essentially. Is that to say you couldn't do what you're saying? Absolutely not. You could build something that's catered to a single game. Would be like a plugin. Well, yeah, it's a plugin for game support. And if you want to make your plugin able to read games, that's work you have to do yourself, right? I can't know these things. But if you are really, really passionate about a certain game, you could definitely make it so that every game. Let me show you one thing quickly. Every game plugin has an API that you can kind of like extend yourself. So if you want to put in some memory reading in there and expose it to that API, so that someone can use that from their game agent, you could, right? You totally could. But someone has to figure out the memory offset. Someone has to know how to work with that stuff, and it's not something that I can generalize from in the framework itself, right? But as a person that builds a game agent or builds a game plugin to bring support for a game, you could do that. It's possible at that point, right? But not as the framework like dev, I can't do this. But as a person that builds plugins, yes, absolutely. I'm gonna take a break. I'm just gonna make that coffee, or maybe just grab a beer because it's getting a little late. I'm gonna grab a beer, no coffee, and just like use the washroom real quick. I'll be back. All right, just if you want to stick around, be cool. Just give me a sec, and I'm gonna give you guys full screen doggo. I'm gonna answer questions when I get back. All right, just give me a sec. Let's give you full screen doggo in the meantime. How about that? All right, I'll be back. This dog, I swear. What the fuck? Is it a looped GIF now? Is it a looped GIF now? God damn. That's a snake. Yeah, I laughed at the rocket thing. That was funny too. Yeah. Complete with the tongue. That's it's yeah. This dog, man. All right, I'm gonna bring you guys back. Sadly, I know Doggo is definitely giving a show. Absolutely, but I'm gonna bring you guys back. All right. It's like, you what, mate? Looped GIF? Let me show you. Let me show you what I can do. Cheers, chat. By the way, if you are having an adult beverage, cheers. I will continue to work on this now. Right. So there is a bit of a challenge. Now we need to reconcile like frames. So I'm gonna need a structure. The first thing we're gonna need, like, capturing the frames. That's all done. Like, the framework is good to go. The framework is gonna be able to handle that. That's not the problem. My problem is, how do we then query from our timestamp a collection of frames like that's adequate, right? Because I don't want to look at the entire collection of frames to find this stuff. This used to be a full screen doggo. Yeah, I know. You're not allowed to just like only stream that on Twitch, unfortunately, because it would be awesome. Just like a pet section would be perfect. Some pets would make like a living, literally. It would work. All right. Oh, I already have timestamps for frames. Like, the framework takes care of all sorts of shit. The problem is then how do we seek it? Performance in this case is not like super important, right? Because it's done after the fact. It's not done while the game is playing. It's when you focus out. So it can take whatever time to build a data file. I'm not too worried about it, right? I'm not too worried about how much time it will take. However, I do need, like, the timestamps that I get here for my like for my key presses, like you see a few here still. They're like microsecond precision. So there's no way that they're gonna match exactly with what's in the frame. So I have to find out, like, or figure out the structure where I can where I can kind of like access this in a relatively fast way, right? So maybe I could look at all the keys and if the keys are floats, which are still, I don't know if they're hashable. We'll figure it out, I guess. Then I could figure out which one's the closest, or maybe just like round up to the second for the keys. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I could definitely start working on that and then just like figure out, but the structure itself that we're going to store the frames in is pretty important. Yeah. I used to store them together, right? I used to store them together, but that was causing issues because I couldn't do both things at the same time in the same process. So I had to kind of like exit of my hook to do some sort of frame associations. So people that were here before, like that saw the previous work on this, like they could tell. They could tell you that this is how I used to do it. I used to just, like, when something happened, I used to immediately associate it with frames, right? And it was working up to the point where the part that I was doing outside of the listening got a little too expensive, like time-wise, and I would start missing out on some key presses, which is totally not acceptable. But I think I know how I could get this done. It's definitely not the end of the world. So all we're looking to do here is this, right? So it's this handle record thing, and this is my previous way. It's pretty fucking massive, right? Let's be real. It's this one that's the previous way. This one here, the record one. That's how I used to do it. I think this time around it's gonna be way simpler because in the handle record itself, all I need to do is store a frame sequence in some sort of key or some sort of structure. Now, the speed at which we can build the file later will depend on how effective our structure is. But like I said, speed is not necessarily like a big issue. So I'm not going to put too much pressure like on myself here for this sort of stuff, right? Okay, so how do we start? Well, the game frame itself is going to be a pipeline game frame, but it's only going to be a single game frame. So there's few options. The problem is I like to have frame sequences and not just the one frame. I do have a nice way to get a frame buffer from my frame grabber, as long as it's in the active buffer, which is about like 5 seconds. So I kind of have like a replay buffer of frames that I keep in memory that I can access from this process. So I'm thinking like every time we enter this loop and we're gonna try to go as fast as we can, essentially, I will query, I will try to get from my frame grabber, right? So one thing I might do is game frame buffer. Ah, that's the class. Come on, dudes. Game frame buffer. We're gonna start out easy. Right? Game frame buffer. And I'm gonna say this is my frame grabber. And there is a class method on the frame grabber to get frames. And what I can do is pass it an array of offsets, right? An array of offsets. So I can either get it from, I think I already have it in my setup. Yeah, I have it in my setup. 7-handle record. There is a, there used to be at least. Maybe I got rid of it. Lister arrays, while they're pretty, I would say, interchangeable, unless you mean the NumPy arrays. But yeah, no, lists are fine in Python. Did I used to do it somewhere else, or did I really get rid of it? I used to have something with a range here in this file. And that's it. I think I'm done. Fuck, I removed it. All right, let me see if I have it in a previous commit on GitHub. That would be sort of helpful if I do. If I go to my latest PR, let's see if there is any. I'm looking for setup for handle record, and I think I used to have a way. Yeah, see, I used to have this. I don't know where this actually went, because it's still in my still in my commit. So where did this go? Oh, it's record. No. I sound like I'm confused. Like, you have to trust me. I'm not confused. So I have game frames, input recorder, because we changed the way it works. That's the thing. Yeah, essentially. Yeah, that's the old way for sure. But I might still use that way of determining the spacing in my setup. Okay. I'll do it before starting the recorder. Technically, this line should still be valid. I'm looking for a frame count and frame spacing that are coming in from that command line. So when I do serpent record stuff, right, like this, you're gonna see it being cut out a bit. But sudo serpent record Canabalt with the game agent. There are some default args that are missing, but I could specify how many frames I want. Right, so I could say like 8. And I could say how many frames apart at 30 FPS they should be spaced from one another. Right, so if I want them to be, so if it's a fast-paced game, I might want to use a frame sequence that's shorter. So maybe I could say like they're spaced out by 2 frames each, something like that. And that is a valid command. And then from that you get the keyword arg frame count and frame spacing. And that's how I was kind of going with this frame offsets. I would generate a list by doing a Python range on this like information, and then I want to use the frame offsets like once it's been pre-computed. I want to use it here because it's pre-computed based on the args that you pass in, so I don't have to always like wonder like, hey, what should we do here, right? So self.frame offsets is something I have access to, and these are this is an index of numerical positions. And that's going to take them in that order from the stack, the active buffer in memory, the current buffer in memory for the frames. And then the second arg is I have to tell it from where I want to get my, I don't think I'm going to see the signature here, unfortunately. because VS Code. Frame type, right? Keyword arg frame type. So I'm going to say frame type is, and I'm going to say pipeline here. Right? So there's two types. That's the full res. Oh, I forgot to answer that question. Just remember, I just saw full res, and I remember Robert's question was just like, do you store the full res? No. I don't store them in full res. You could, right? So it's doing two things. I have a separate process that runs that captures the full res and stores it in full res, but it's only in a 5-second buffer. Like I said, it's going to eventually like get kicked out. And I also do the same thing. I do apply optionally a transformation pipeline. So there is a string language or DSL, whatever that you can specify, and it's kind of like just you like dictating some transformations to perform, like image transformations on that frame. It's going to save it as a second separate collection. So if I request pipeline, that's that second collection. If I request full, I would get the full size. But this is stuff that's coming from the buffer. Now the second question is, do I store them in full size in that file that I'm going to be creating for the recorded gameplay? The answer is no. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the pipeline. All right, if I do this, I'm going to get a game frame buffer object in the SerpentAI framework. That one has frames, and every entry in that frames is a game frame object that has frame bytes or frame arrays, depending on if they're they're full size. So if it's a NumPy array, it's definitely like a raw bitmap, the huge ones, but the full res, the full size. And if it's frame bytes, it's probably some PNG compressed one for like mass storage in memory. In this case, it's gonna be PNG. So I'm gonna bring in the buffer with the configuration of offsets, which is by default 4:4. So it's 4 frames apart, and that's gonna give me a frame buffer. And now I can store the buffer directly, but I need to store it in some structure, like I said. I need to store it in I need to find some timestamp to associate it to. And what I was thinking is indexing by second, right? So it's a microsecond precision thing. So whatever I have, even for my frames, in terms of timestamps, it's going to be like a time.time, which is microsecond precision. But I could still just like take the int of this, which is essentially the floor, and index them in the structure, all the game frame buffers, index them by second. And then I could do the same thing on whatever I have in my key presses, and only find a candidate in that index, right? That second index. I think that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense to you, Chad, but I think it's an early approach that could be that will reduce the search time, the scan time. So just index them by second, and then inside you'll have a bunch of frame buffers, and you can just decide which one is more adequate in that smaller collection. I don't know if it makes sense or not, the way I explain it. But I'm essentially like just indexing by some piece of information that I can easily access with my query data, right? And then I'm going to limit the size of the game frame buffers that I get back just by using that index information. Yeah. Divide depending on number of frames. What do you mean divide by number of frames? Because I will always have like every frame in there is going to have its own timestamp, right? So it's not the buffer that has the timestamp, it's the frame. Every frame in there, regardless of how many you request, it could be 4, it could be 8, it could be like 2. Rarely will be 1, because one frame, it's really hard to infer like movement and trajectories from just one frame. So if we can't do it from one frame ourselves, there's not a lot of chances that a neural net could also figure it out, right? So it has to be enough information that we can figure out how things moved. But yeah, we could try to go with that. So when I set up my recording, I could do frame buffer seconds. And I'm not trying to ignore your suggestion, but I'm not sure I understand it, Robert. I'm not sure I understand it. Like the divide what? Based on the number of frames, because the number of frames is sequential. It's not sequential, but it's a constant. It's always going to be the same number of frames, but they're going to be offset in a separate way. Me neither. All right, cool. All right. But I still like it. Base the precision on this. Yeah, no, it's good. I still like it because it could give us ideas. I'm okay with that, man. All right, so in the setup function for my handle recording, I'm going to start a new structure. I'm going to do self. Like a game with mostly process per frame. Right, so I don't have like I don't have like a counter on my frames. If that's what you're referring to. Like I don't know, like this is frame like 736 since we started recording, for example. I don't have that. I don't know. I don't know. Could we do it? Yes. Would it be useful? Not necessarily, because I might not capture at the same rate that the game is rendering, right? If that makes sense, right? So even if a key is once per frame, yeah. No, I'm gonna be able to reassemble it like pretty precisely. Don't worry about that part. I'm just trying to figure out how I can go from a full list of all the frame buffers to something that's gonna be quicker to access. So that's why I'm saying if I round it down to the second, or I floor it to the second and lose the millisecond precision for the index, not for the frame. I don't want to lose the precision for the frames, but I want to lose it for the index. And then I do the same thing for the keys that I stream in. I'll be able to just search like a subset of the full frame buffers. It's gonna be faster that way. That's what I'm going with. All right, so game frame buffer seconds, or just game frame buffers, and I don't need to necessarily communicate that the index is gonna be seconds. It's gonna be a dictionary. The index is gonna be the second. Like I said, the rounded down second. All right, so this is good. I need to use this game frame. Oh wait, I already had this game frames thing. Am I not using it? Because I'm not using it. Where is this? Basically, I need to know before I do anything else. What was I doing with this? Oh, I used to do something with that. Maybe in the previous recording. Maybe. Not even. I think it's safe to remove it. I'm just gonna get rid of this shit. Fuck it. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to index with more precision, yeah, you could always do that. But I think the trade-off of like how many are we gonna get really per second, and then going through these. It's not gonna be that bad. It's not gonna be that bad. You could sort them and then merge. They're already sorted in both cases, but I don't know if they're gonna correspond, right? So how would you merge? What would be your pivot for the merge? I see Chris. Because you guys are bringing like legit ideas, but I'm missing some information. Like yes, merging would be nice, but how would I associate it with the frame? Like, would it be the one that follows up? A certain Goose Man has just subscribed with a $4.99 sub. I do appreciate that. Thank you for that support, Goose. How are we doing? If you don't know who Goose is, he's actually another programmer that streams on Twitch. That right now is working on a Twitch extension, but I assume also does other things at times. But that Twitch extension looks pretty cool. I think it's gonna be like a GitHub like showcase. Goose, Goose, don't mind me just lurking. Hey, I like I'll do my own thing, dude. If I want to shout you out, I'll do it. But yeah, Goose does some cool stuff with. I mean, mainly with JavaScript, but I don't want to put words in his mouth. But that's what I've seen at least. And I do appreciate that sub. Thank you, dude. So if you guys want to check him out, follow him. He usually streams a little later during the night, a little later than I do. So we rarely overlap. And I do hang out in there. Mostly lurk because I'm usually tired, but I do say some stuff once in a while. Good stuff. Yeah, no, so if you want to merge, I guess you could just like merge the keys in, but then how do you decide on which frame? Right? I need a quick way to identify which collection of frames or which frame buffer is associated with these. Do Ruby also, but eh? Is that a goose sound? Like, eh? No, we're good. Nice. You should turn. Okay, that's a shit suggestion from chat. I'm gonna call him out when I see him. That is. I've done it before, Nalash, because sometimes I laugh now, but sometimes with web stuff you have no choice. But if you want to communicate some stuff to the server, you have to base 64 that shit. So it's like a half troll in a sense, but I'm not gonna do that in this case. So just to paint the problem, just if you guys really want to consider it, right? Just give it some thought. I don't know if Doped is still here, but apparently Vault Boy is not in a global emote anymore on Twitch. Pretty sad. I liked it. It doesn't work. Yeah. And associate with the closer, so you just look at the neighbors. But what if the neighbors are key presses? Do you keep going until you find one that's a frame? Is that how you would do it? I don't think it's a bad approach per se. I would just have to like think it out if we were to do it like that. So you want to take a piece of off all data to analyze? And I do see yes, we can spam like chat. That's something we can do. I'm not gonna force anyone to do it, but if someone does decide to sub, use those ugly fedora wearing, which I didn't wear, just to be fully clear. That's the chat that Photoshop shit on my face. Yes, you can welcome subs with that stuff. That's cool. Yes, I just want to paint the problem. Like I said, if you guys want to give it a shot, I will definitely myself give you a shot to explain. So the problem is we're gonna collect like a shit ton of game frame buffers, and there is like the thing that makes the most sense to to pivot on is timestamps, right? So the game frame buffer itself doesn't necessarily have a timestamp, but it's going to contain a bunch of frames that are individually timestamped. So that's one thing. So I'm gonna have like a shit ton of those. So I can't just like have a big list or a big dictionary with all of these guys. Unless we do maybe something like merging, like you said. I see Chris. But I can't just have the full list, right? So we need to figure out a way to scan better, right? We need to figure out a way to scan better. And I think I had one approach that would definitely work, and that would make it faster. But then there's also a suggestion of perhaps merging and looking at neighbors, right? To find like a suitable game frame buffer, which is not a bad idea either. We could just merge the keys or order them in a single list and just like go back, right? Go back in time to find like if it's an actual key press, go back in time and try to find so we could make some sort of like little recursive function or something. Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, I know, Nalaj, absolutely. Yeah. If you want to communicate like images over plain text protocols, you have to use Space 64, which is kind of yeah. I did think it was a cowboy hat. That kind of makes it better, though. I don't want people to see the fedora shit. Like, if you see it as a cowboy hat, I'm not gonna complain. It's fine, man. I'm okay with that. That's a decent interpretation. So you want to know what frame a key press is? So well, it's what sequence of frames, right? So it's not just the one frame. I don't want the precise timing of like that key press happened on that frame. I want to know the neighbor, like the sequence that led to this, and maybe what followed, depending on the type of algorithm that we want to work with, machine learning wise. All right. So, for example, if you use DQN, your observations are going to be like 4 frames, perhaps. And then a second observation that's going to be like the same 4 frames except offset by 1, so with a new one. So essentially you have 5 frames. You have like 3 frames that came before. You have the actual frame where your action happened, and you have the frame that followed. And that can change. That can change on very, very like depending on your approach, right? Depending on your approach, it might totally change. Your requirements might change. But it's not just to it's definitely not just to associate with a single frame, because that doesn't give us enough information, like I said, to infer trajectories and stuff like that, like movement. A single frame is not enough for that. So there's no real point. I'm not trying to say when you see this, press this, right? I'm trying to say when the context, that like when the sequence of frame looked like this, right? Just so we can communicate perhaps somehow movement in there. Because if you don't know how things are moving, you could have identical frames that came to be differently, right? You guys understand that. So maybe the action in that case would be different. It's not just a matter of getting like one frame associated with a key press. SDA, how to do it? We're not there yet. We're not there yet as a society, right? Not just like in this framework. I don't think we're there yet. If I knew how to do that, I would not be doing this. All right. Maybe we don't have the frame grabber in scope. Maybe. It is there, so what is VS Code's problem once again? Get frames, you know, so it's right about this. It's my problem. Okay, so now I'm getting a frame buffer. I need to extract somehow like a piece of information, like because in there are frames, a number of frames I'm not necessarily sure about, and I have to choose which frame I want to. I really want to like choose for its timestamp. And I'm thinking like the whole, like if we focus on the DQN approach or the reinforcement learning approach, what would be interesting is saying perhaps like the second to last frame in the list would be the right place to anchor in terms of timestamp. Because it would give me like one that follows and whatever other amount that came before. So if you decide to have like 4, you'd have 2 before, 1 where it's kind of like in line with the press, and then 1 that follows. If you have 8, you know, you would have a bigger sequence that led to this key press. The key press is like second to last, and then the last one is what followed. And I think that's a nice way, like at least like from the start, it's a nice way to associate it. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of depends on what you want to say about an action, how many frames. Yeah, so that's why like the frames that you're getting, right? That these frames, it's totally configurable. You can say I'm gonna need X frames, and I'm gonna need them to be spaced like really like far apart in that 5-second buffer, or just really close. So you will have to customize that based on the game speed or you know like your best knowledge that you can bring about that game. It's not a one size fits all. So there's gonna be a default for sure, but it's not a like just do it that way always, and it's gonna work. But my gut feeling tells me that using the you know second to last frame or the before last frame, I don't know how you say this stuff really, to use as a timestamp would be perfect. Would be the best approach. Might be the best approach in this case. So I could extract the timestamp from there, and I'm going to need that timestamp to add it to my list of game frame buffers. So whatever happens here needs to be fast. It needs to be fast so that we can collect as many frames, because the more frame buffers we collect and how fast we collect them, the better, right? Because we have more samples to more precisely associate with our key presses that were collected in the other process. So I'm going to start by extracting the timestamp itself. Let's start with that. And if you feel like hey, there's a lot of talking, not a lot of coding, well, guess what? Like programming is mostly in here, right? When you actually code, that's you expressing the solution to the problem. So it's mostly about problem solving. It's mostly about talking it out, considering, you know, solutions and stuff like that. So it's not just like code. Like coding is expressing the solution. If you're coding more than you're thinking, you're probably doing it wrong. Probably doing it wrong. All right, so let's go and I can say that this is my game frame buffer. All right, game frame buffer dot frames. So that's going to be a list that contains ordered ascending order game frame objects. I'm going to say give me like I said the one before last or something like that, and then give me its timestamp, something like this. And that's going to be the timestamp for this guy. Then I need to work with my game frame buffers structure. And I don't believe I made a decision in the setup block. Yeah, I'm gonna just like get rid of this shit. Well, I'm using that one and getting rid of this shit. That's what I mean. All right, so I'm gonna have a dictionary that will contain all the game frame buffers. That's good. And then I will use this. Like I said, I'm probably gonna just like int this thing, so essentially flooring it, flooring the value of this timestamp. Not because I want to get rid of it, right? I just want to use that as a value to index game frame buffers by. So I might just say right up, like straight up, like timestamp index. It's just going to be like the int of this. Right, so it's going to get rid of the precision. It's going to floor it. It's not going to round it up necessarily. But it doesn't matter as long as it's like our system is consistent. It's mostly going to work. Timestamp index. And then I'm going to look first of all if timestamp index not in self dot. What was that again? Like game frame buffers, plural. So if it's not there, I will create an entry with an empty list, and then I will just append to that list always that game frame buffer. And that is going to run as fast as it can in our main process. It's going to be collecting the pipeline frames and associating them there. And then when we focus out of the game, now we will need to work on you know, like the actual like little algorithm that's going to reconcile them. So I'm going to try the indexing approach. If I'm struggling, I might try the merging approach that IC was saying, because I think that's a good one too. Always different approaches to do this. But essentially, like, what's a good approach in this case? Something that's not going to make you go through the entire list to find a suitable candidate. So anything that kind of shortens your query time, your scan time, your search time, that's going to be an adequate solution in this case. I'm not looking for the best performance one necessarily, because like I said, I'm not doing this while the game is being played by the player that we're recording. It's after the fact. We're collecting in two different buckets, and then we're trying to assemble the data together, right? So it's the performance itself is not like crucial. I'm not looking for the most performant solution necessarily. Okay, so if it's not in there, like I said, I'm going to create an entry here with just an empty list. So self.gameFrame buffers with timestamp index, just going to be an empty list. And then after this block, this little conditional, I'm just going to always append self.gameFrame buffers where the key is timestamp index dot append. What's up, Sir Derpa? How we doing? Yes, append the game frame buffer that we have in this case. Okay. What was that? Did I just like quickly Control-A delete the entire file? I think that's what I did. That was impressive. I don't know how I did that. That was actually impressive. It's like skills. Game frame buffer, which is the one that we're getting right now. There is one issue we need to remedy right away before we move on from this handle record. So the logic inside is fine, but there is by default a frame limiter, right? Because when you're getting frames for your game agent, when you want to play with a game agent, when you play the game with some sort of like approach that you have, you don't want to get like 10, 15 frames per second as input, because that kind of translate to like something ridiculous, like 600 APM and more. So asking your agent to take 600 decisions per minute might be a little too much. Not performance wise, right? You could handle it, but it might be too much to actually like do some gameplay that looks like legit like human gameplay. It's also more confusing for your agent to have to consider like too many of these things, right? So I generally throttle them. There's a default, and I think the default is like 4 FPS. But in the case of recording, I don't want that throttle to be active, so I need to figure out how I can make this thing like go away. But that's not inside of here. This is the logic for collecting the game frame buffers. Ideally, I would have some sort of like measurement of like average performance on this thing, like just how long does it take to do this. So that's going to be stored in there. But now I need to figure out, because if you go and look at the game class, the base game class, you'll see that I start a frame limiter here. Right? So what's a game frame limiter? Why is it 30 FPS by default? Oh, it's if there's nothing. If there's nothing in the config, it's 30 FPS, right? If it's nothing in the config, it's 30 FPS, but there is something in the config. Look at the config for Cannibal, for example. Config plugins, see if FPS 4, because when you generate the code for that plugin from the framework, it'll actually like make this the default FPS, right? What kind of features are you adding? I'm working on the recording again, like the player recording stuff, Sir Derper. I'm just adding support for recording key presses. No Street Fighter against AI? What do you mean? Do you mean like because there's like frame precise like inputs? Because that's not necessarily true. You could script frame precise inputs, right? And just decide when you want to trigger them, and then your code would still be able to initially. No, but that's the default. You can run it at different speeds too. It's just the default, right? Just for most games, 4 FPS is still kind of like 240 APM, right? Which is more than most humans will do in most games. Now, for faster paced games or more precise games, you definitely could like feed it more FPS. But that's kind of like depending on your machine. Hopefully your machine has enough like resources and is fast enough to process it that fast. It also depends on how much logic you have in your game agent, right? So if it takes a long time to run through the code, you're not going to be able to run that FPS. So that limiter only works one way, right? So it will waste away the frames. If you take more than the time you're allocated with 4 FPS, it's not gonna, it's not gonna feed you the next frame right away. It's gonna wait until you're done. So it's just if you're going too fast, it's gonna limit it to 4 FPS. But otherwise it's just gonna overflow, right? Yeah. But just like, for example, like doing a frame precise input, like a combo in a fighting game, you could script it with the input controller in the framework and just say it's time to do this thing, right? So you don't have to like say the next frame we've been doing this, so now it's time to press this thing. No. You could just say like this is this combo or whatever, and just do it, for example, right? So it's not that you can't do frame precise actions with it, but it's more like how many frames do you get in per second to do that sort of like hey, it's time to trigger this thing. Fighting games are definitely going to be a little harder because of the the speed at which things need to be performed, but they're not impossible per se. So the goal is, for me, is a little different in this case, because I don't want to have the player to change the FPS when they're recording. The less I have the dev that's doing game agents do stuff in their config, the better, right? So I might just want to like bump it up to like 10 FPS for frame capture. And remember, if you're like, oh well, 10 FPS is not that high, well, it's not exactly just 10 FPS. We're also getting the context, the frames that led to this. So it's definitely not that bad. It's technically more than 10 FPS that we get in terms of visual data. It's just that we're going to be receiving 10 frames per second inside of our loop. But inside of our loop, we're requesting X amount of frames that are precise, right, at 30 FPS locked. And so that's going to give us more information than just like the 10 FPS. It's not 10 frames. So I'm looking for a way to just overwrite this config value when it's a recording action, right? So ignore the config value essentially and set up my own when it's a config value. And I think like 10 FPS would be nice for recording. So I would have to change something in this case in the game. Is it the game or the game agent? Kind of hard to tell. I think it's the game essentially that needs to be shit. Yeah, the game frame limiter itself has a start. But by the time I'm there, but that's in my constructor, so I definitely don't know yet. It's a bit of a problem. I don't know yet what sort of action. I don't even know that I would be recording at that point in time. So I would have to kind of override it later, which seems to be doable as long as we keep calling start and stop and wait sequentially when we're. Just let me see. So I'm looking right now to bypass this thing when we're recording. I'm looking to bypass my frame limiting, my throttling of frames that we're sending to the game agent. I'm looking to remove that throttling when we're recording, without the user having to change their FPS config. Right? So the FPS config should be for when you're trying to play the game. It is widely understood as that right now, so I'm not looking to change that. Okay, so it says start, and then it does the stop and delay, right? Here. But I have the information at this point in time. I know what my frame handler is. All right, that's an easy one. That's an easy one. I just need to figure out where to do it. I just don't know where would be in that adequate way to, like, an adequate place to do this. It's definitely before the loop. I'll do it here, and I'll just add a comment or something. I'll just say, see if we want to override. Override is too hard. Override FPS config, question mark. Something like that, config. And we'll check. We'll just say if, for now we'll start with a simple like if it's record frame handler, but maybe eventually we'll make it a collection like we did for the pipeline frame handlers and check for the presence of that value in the collection. But for now I'll do if frame handler is record, right? If it's that, then what I would do is just switch it to so myself dot game frame limiter dot FPS. I would change that to, oops, to like 10. But I still don't think that's good, because inside of the game frame limiter, yeah, the frame time I calculate, shit, I would have to set the frame time essentially, or just recreate a new game frame limiter. Like if I want to use just the FPS, because it's probably easier to understand what's going on if I'm working with the FPS. So one thing I could do is just reinitialize like something different here. You know, so where was that? Override FPS config here. I'll just recreate. So instead of accessing this guy, I'm going to say it's equal to a new game frame limiter that is set to 10 FPS, like this. And then it's going to enter the loop, and it's going to call the start block and whatever. So that's one way to do it. That's one way to get rid of the throttle conditionally based on what type of agents we have. Whoops. Now, eventually, we might have like a whole class to handle this stuff, but I don't see the use case for this now, right? And one way to test this would be to just like print something out, and we can kind of like visually estimate that we're actually like getting 10 FPS inside of our handler. So if I go back to the game agent class, like the base class, and I go here, perhaps I could just like print the game frame.timestamp. Always. All right, so now we can try to record and see what happens. And I should get like 10 FPS. If I didn't fuck up, like I should get 10 FPS. So I should get about 10 messages per second printed out to the console. There might be a bit of delay because, you know, IO shit. But still, we should be able to visually tell if it's 4 or 10. So if the overwrite is working or not on the throttling. And it will be collecting my key presses in the game and also storing the frames. Well, before I do anything else, let me try one more thing. In the pause here, So on the handle on record pause, I would like, before I do anything else, I would like to print self dot game frame buffers. And that's not going to show all the data, but it's going to show a game frame buffer object and also our indexing keys, right? And we're also going to be able to evaluate if we're not doing throttling from that, because I'm going to be able to see how many we have under a second. If we have like 9, 10, like under every second, we're probably doing good. All right, so that's framework code. So I have to rebuild my package. Then I go back to my user context, which is just the window below this guy. And then I'm going to ask to say sudo serpent record cannibal game agent. Right, so that's going to be a default of 4 frames per sequence, and also spaced out by 4 frames. Captured at a locked 30 FPS. It's going to eventually tell me to start playing the game unless there's a crash or bug. The doggo right now, holy shit, man. The good old like pause stretch kills me every time. I just love it. All right, there's gonna be a bit of a lag at the beginning, but see, I don't think we're reaching 10 FPS in this case. You can kind of see how many entries we have. It's definitely not 10 FPS, but it's the equivalent of unlock with this computer, what it can do. Yo, what's up, iDigi? You can kind of tell just from the amount of entries per second that we're probably not reaching 10 FPS, but it's going to be the equivalent of unthrottled information, right? And this is technically me. I need to start playing, really, right? I'm just going to play the game. Perhaps not too long. Making my entrance. All right, I died, and then I'm just going to do poop. And yeah, look at all these game frame buffers. And I'm going to stop. And we're going to start looking at information ourselves. Come on. No, we don't. No, we don't zoom in after we... Okay, never mind. We're going to zoom in first then, and then we're going to do this. I tried to work through your code today, and I got a little lost. Well, there's a lot in there. You would have to take one section at a time, iDigi. Yeah, so see, that's the second. I don't know how many items we seem to have in there, but it seems to be working fine. See all these game frame buffer objects, they contain game frames in them. That looks pretty good. I mean, of course, that's a lot of information, like I said. Imagine how much information we would have after like hours. But it's still how it's supposed to work, right? So I'm rounding down to the second. I'm rounding down to the second, and then we have a bunch of game frame buffer objects in there. Unique game frame buffer objects. So when I want to reconcile the information at the end, what I'll do is just like round down the second on the key press itself and try to match. And then I will start inspecting the game frame buffers inside of that second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not that impressive unless it's the first. That's the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's not that many that we're storing per second. So see, even the 10 FPS doesn't seem to be working that well in terms of how many we can handle on the machine. Yeah. Doesn't seem like we're collecting that much per second. It seems to be okay. Maybe it's just like still like starting out. Let's go like middle at the back here. Let's see what's up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It works. It works. So it may drop a bit. It may drop a bit depending on your system performance. It may drop a little bit, but see, like when we're in middle of the back, we started recording, we're stable. There's not the initial lag that we saw. You will probably have like 9 to 10 game frame buffers if your machine can handle it. So I think this approach so far is doing okay. And now if you see all these game frame buffer objects, you might be like, but the RAM, but it's okay because the image data is compressed in there. it's not just like the raw images that take like 2 megs each. It's rather something that takes perhaps like 4 kilobytes each instead of 2 megs. Right, so we can have a lot of these around and be okay and survive. So that's a good sign. That's a very good sign. That's a lot of output that we need to kind of suppress, however. I do not want to get all this information in there. So let's just get rid of this print. What else was I printing? I was printing the timestamp, I think. Let's get rid of that too. Yeah, this here. I just wanted to get an approximation of how many cycles of this handle record we would get. First of all, it kind of showed us that it totally did bypass the game frame limiter, which is good. That's perfect. And then I should be a little easy, like go easier on the recording. I think I could get rid of also the key presses because we've confirmed that it works if we get rid of the print flag. And then we can start working on where the real work lies, and that is inside the pause handler. So what happens when we focus out of the game? This is where it's time to reconcile the data and build that HDF5 file with all the information. So let's try to work through this logic that I had in there, first of all. So the first thing I do is just like stop the input. I send a signal to my second process that's capturing the inputs to just like stop writing new inputs. And what's the next thing that we do here? I was looking at how many items we had, and I was just like getting them out. Is that something I could do? Still, I think so. So first thing I'll do is collect. I'll just like give it a bit of a structure with comments, and then maybe get rid of them. It's pretty obvious. I'll collect all the keyboard events. Right, collect keyboard events in some sort of, let's say, keyboard events, and make that a list for now. And then I'm gonna go. So why do I do this? Like, hey, let's get the count and then do a I in range. Well, it's a Redis. It's a Redis piece of information. It's a queue that could technically be accessed from other stuff. So it's always a better principle, instead of just trying to keep exhausting the queue. Even though in this case I am pausing the input, it's always better to say like, hey, let's determine the length and let's pop these amount of keys out. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just saying, hey, at this point in time, when we've paused the input recording, what's the length of the queue for the input recording? And then I'm just gonna pop out some stuff for that length of time. And then instead of doing, you know, the print here, I would likely do keyboard events dot append the pickle loads. So it is serialized with pickle. So if you don't know what that is, like, pickle is the serializer, the object serializer, or the structure serializer that comes in the standard lib with Python. It has its strengths and weaknesses, but in this case, it was way faster to serialize using pickle than using JSON. And Redis takes bytes as input. So I had to kind of provide like I had to serialize my objects. So of course, like, we were thinking, right, JSON, right, because web and everything. But in this case, JSON is useless, and it was also 10 times slower than using pickle, because we measured that. So I'm using pickle. So I just like store my Python structures with a pickle dumps, and then I just bring it back on the other end when I pop stuff out of there. And also by doing this, by doing the ln, and then just there's a good chance I'm not gonna, you know, like, encounter like some sort of like none value here. So I'm collecting the keyboard events. I'm storing them in this keyboard event variable that's a list, and then we would have to iterate over every keyboard event. So as for keyboard event in keyboard events, a keyboard event looks like, it's gonna be hard to see it. I don't know if there's any examples of that here before I run out of scroll back. I don't think so. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a tough one. No. Well, it's just a dictionary that has like a name and a timestamp, and from the name we can infer if it was a key up or down and stuff like that, right? That was some very poor beer handling right there. I'm sorry. That was a little leaky. Okay, so for keyboard event singular in keyboard event events plural, what do we do? So now this is where most of the logic for this handler, this pause callback is going to happen. So there's a lot of shit to do, right? So the first thing that you'll think of is saying, well, okay, we need to find the corresponding frames. Yeah, yes and no. We need to register if it's a key down event. We need to register it, right? We need to register it with its timestamp in some sort of structure. Why is that? Because when we see a corresponding key up, we need to calculate. We want to calculate the duration. So I need to have saved. So I'm going to go through these keyboard events sequentially, right? So as they happened in time, I'm going to be rereading that sequence of events. So when I see a key up, I'll be able to capture or calculate the duration of the whole key press, because when I saw the down, I stored its initial timestamp. So before we even try to associate, there's going to be an additional. I'm going to get rid of this. Not my style. We're going to add. Oops, I did delete the K. I'm going to add in some other structures that we're going to keep track of inside of this whole block. That structure for now might be the keyboard downs. All right, and it needs to be a dictionary in this case. All right. So what I'll do is when I see a down from the events, I'll make sure to add an entry there for that key, along with its timestamp. When I see the up, I'll calculate the duration by subtracting the two timestamp, and I'll also pop or delete the key from that dictionary, right? And we'll just do this always in there. So the keyboard downs, that's going to be a dictionary. Now we start iterating over this. Yeah. Register. That's what you're doing right now. You're just all right, keyboard event in keyboard events. Okay, so first thing we can do is split on the dash in the name, and the second part is going to be the event, right? So if it's down or up, so I could literally say keyboard key name. Yeah, key name and event, or key in event. That's going to be me splitting the keyboard event dot name. Yeah, it's coming from the name. Keyboard event dot name. I believe I named it. Keyboard event dot name. And I split on the dash in this case. And I'm just going to unpack whatever's coming back to these two variables. Nice. So now I have an actual name for the key and the event, and then we can start a big, I guess, a big pivot on what type of event it is. So if key event is up is shorter than down. Well, I see something that's factually accurate, but I don't know what that means. All right, if key is down, if key event is down, and then an elif on, because we don't have switch, so that is life in Python. So we're going to do key event if that's up. All right. Could just be the length of the name. Yeah, but I'm gonna use it later on. You're not wrong. As I'll always say that you're not wrong, but that's that I'm planning to actually use this thing, not just determine. I might as well just split it. It's not exactly it's splitting on a 20 character or less. Well, what you're not wrong. A key event is down. So what do we do when it's a key down? Like I said, the first thing, well, at least for now, the first wave of operations we want to run is add a key, add an entry there for this guy. So I'll do key name, and I'm going to use the timestamp of this keyboard event as the other value. So it's going to be keyboard event where it's not dot name. That's a mistake. There's no dot notation in Python for dictionaries. Yeah, yeah. But like I said, you're not wrong. There's multiple ways to do things, right? We know that. Like logic wise, you're totally right. But yes, I'm looking to reuse the name. So key and key event, keyboard. Yep. Okay. Same thing here. So I'm going to use keyboard event. Timestamp. That's what we're setting in there. Right. So what do we do when it's a keyboard up? And that's not all we do, but we're going to start with this piece of functionality. Right. So the cleanup is what needs to be done. So the duration can be calculated by subtracting the current keyboard event. Oops, keyboard event. What's up, Lectin? Keyboard event. Same thing, like just accessing this. Now I know these keys exist. Like in some situations in Python, it's better to use the .get if technically that key would not be there because it's going to raise a key error. But I'm in control here. I know exactly that these keys are going to be there always. So I can access them directly. It's just like something that bites people that are coming from other languages sometimes, because you're like, oh, okay, so it doesn't have a dot notation, so I will use it with the brackets and you know, the quote key. But if you do that on something that doesn't exist, it doesn't return like none. It will return like a key error. It will actually raise an exception. So I only do it when I'm sure it's there. Otherwise, you can use .get, and that would return none if there's no key there and would not raise a key error. Or you could choose to handle the key error. There's so many ways to do it. So duration is going to be this guy minus the one that we have in keyboard downs. All right, keyboard downs for this key name. And we always have the key name because we start by unpacking this at the beginning. So key downs where the key name is this. I'm just, I hope that in the recorder we skipped initial ups without their downs, because it's possible we start recording when the key gets released. I'll know soon enough. If this thing crashes, it's probably because we missed a use case where a key could be released as we start recording. So technically the player was playing the game, had a key down, and then we start recording and it releases the key. So the first thing it sees for a key is up and not down. I'll just have to be on the lookout for that stuff. But essentially, yes, I'm just going to subtract that. That's going to give me my precise duration. And then I can delete the entry in keyboard downs for key name. And that's going to be a start. That's going to be a start. So that's one thing we need to do. There's more stuff now. But at least we can calculate the duration and maintain our keyboard downs dictionary. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is what? Well, I think it is time to associate with some frames, right? Don't you think? So I'll start by saying when it's a key down, that's when we want the frames, because when the key gets released, that's kind of irrelevant in a sense. It's kind of irrelevant. I don't really care, right? I don't really care for when a key gets released, like what the frames were. I care that I pressed that key when the sequence of frames was this. I will get the duration with my observation, but I will also add something else that we'll call the active keys. So at a point in time, when a key was pressed, we'll do it. Oh shit! Yeah, no, there's a problem with this approach I just thought of. Uh-oh. Fuck. Oh shit! I didn't think of that one, chat. Fuck. No. All right, so this approach so far is pretty good, and it would work, but it doesn't add entries for no actions. It only adds entries for the actual key presses. You might be like, well, that's fine. No, it's not fine, because in machine learning, not doing something is also doing something, right? So if you see a sequence of frames, not doing something might be the right choice. So if I'm only collecting the keyboard events, fuck! No! I might need to build the reverse index for this. I might need to build an index of the keyboard events and iterate over the frame buffers. I might need to do it the other way around, because every frame buffer matters. Yeah, every frame buffer matters, but not every... Ah, shit. Surprise, motherfucker. Now we're getting... Yeah, ah, shit. Interesting. You understand why it's an issue right now? Because I'm iterating. See, this loop here will tell you all you need to know. I'm only caring about the keyboard's events that came in. So yes, I could do the right stuff in there, but it also means that every frame where no key was pressed, or every sequence of frames where no key was pressed, that means that I don't have an entry for that, and that's bad. We do both, actually, Robert. We do both, right? We do both. We store when a key was pressed, what was the frame context, and for how long that key was pressed, or what keys, plural, were pressed. But we also will say at that point in time, these keys were down, also from before, right? Damn. Shit. Well, I'm gonna go think. I'm just gonna finish this and go think about it over a piss, and I'll be back. Right. So let me finish this beer. I'm gonna take like literally like 1 minute or something. Try to figure out what we want to do. But I think reverse indexing early beers. Shh, Mike. Shh. Fuck. Yeah, I think reverse indexing is gonna have to be the way, man. That's gonna be it. I'm gonna have to index using the flooring of the microsecond precision on the keyboard presses, and not index the frames, and then go over all the frames and look at the index for the key presses. So when I run a frame, I say, okay, is there any key press that's well? Actually, that works better. I'm not gonna make a sad face or anything. I think it actually works out better. So it's a happy accident. I'm okay with that. It actually works out better. So I'm gonna run over all the frames, and I can consider all the keys that are in the same like vicinity. I kind of like it. I'm kind of okay with that. It's all good. It's all good. All right. So I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get back in a second. I'm gonna assume you guys want doggo while I'm gone, so I'm gonna give you full screen doggo. I'll be back. All right. All right, that's it. We're back. We're back. We're back. All right, so let's reverse this thing. How about that? Let's reverse this thing. So instead of indexing the keys, what we're gonna do is index No. Instead of indexing the frames, we're gonna index the keys. So let's start with the key indexing. The first thing we'll do in this record block is go over all. So let's say our let's say our key presses or keyboard events. All right, so I had a list in there, and I was getting them from. Okay, so it's after the Redis thing. Never mind, it's after the Redis thing. And I can only do it for downs because I already know this. It's kind of far-fetched. I think Nalaj was just like working on something to make chat think while I was gone. I miss you, Bruce. I missed you. How the fuck did I miss you? Because you guys have like the blue name, and I'm using dark mode, and I don't see those for some reason. Like Lecton, Bruce. I don't see your names on dark mode that well. Because Twitch didn't provide like alternative like alternate contrast names for dark mode, so. I see like the regular like dark blue, but it actually totally clashes with the dark purple, so I don't even see it. I missed you, Bruce. I'm sorry, dude. What's up? Yeah, I see. Yeah, against dark mode, the blue doesn't really come out that well. I'm sure it's perfect when it's no BTTV. Well, I'm seeing chat through a separate program right now, so yes, that's why. No, that's what I meant. That's what I meant too, Robert. I think he was just. Oh, BTTV will correct contrast. I didn't know that. But I'm using just a chat embed from Twitch, so I'm not getting. I do have BTTV and FFC and stuff like that, but not in my software here. You don't have to change it. It's just that it's possible that I might not see names when they're like that dark against the dark mode. Okay, so no, I still have to do my Redis stuff. Right, so I still have to do the pickles load stuff first. And then I would build the list. And how did I call that? I called it the game frame buffers, so maybe you can just say keyboard down events. Let's call it keyboard down events. All right, and that's going to be a dictionary, and that's going to be the indexed one. I'm going to go over all. So let's start with that. I'm going to do it here again. We're just going to delay this a bit. We're just going to push it down. You know how I love my, guys, how I love my line breaks. Yeah. Well, you can always control it. You can always control it with the cogwheel thing, right? Is it the cogwheel thing? Yeah, edit appearance. It's like the cogwheel edit appearance, and then if you do that, you can change the color. I think. Anyways, it's not that bad. It's just that I realized I missed out Silent Storm Bruce. Bruce is hey guys, I missed it. Yeah, now I see it as purple. That I can read. That I can read. And I actually remember your name being purple, so it's not. It's yeah no. Yeah, no, I remember Lecton, you had a purple name before. I remember that when you first came in. Okay, so why do I remember that? Let's move on to another question. Let's not talk about that. I remember the most useless stuff, and then I like the important stuff. I can't remember it, so it's good. It's all good. So I'll do for keyboard event singular in keyboard events, and the first thing I'm looking for is that down thing again, right? So if it's a down event, so we can split it the same way, and I only care about if it's a down event. Wait, I could also care about I could do it in one go. So pretty much do this. It's gonna be a bit of a nightmare, chat. I won't lie. Like, it's gonna be a little difficult for real. It's gonna be a little difficult. Not that I'm backing down or anything, but it is gonna be a little difficult because if we don't merge them together, if I don't merge the key presses and keyboard like the key presses and the frames together, it's gonna be real hard to do the whole like, hey, this happened at this. Oh, fucking hell, dude. How do I do this? So I was looking to build an index first of key presses. Maybe we can do it in 2 shots then. My problem is for a specific frames, I need to know which keys are down. Right? So even if it's a frame where nothing happened keyboard-wise, maybe something was already pressed and is still held down before. Right? So I need to associate the key that was down, that was pressed before this, to that empty set of events. And I won't be able to do this if I don't merge them together. So once again, maybe another refactor on the horizon here. Shit. It's always like this. Right, let's be real. It's always like this. Merging becomes interesting by merging or ordering by timestamp becomes pretty interesting then. Because I could just like iterate over the entire thing and say if it's a key press event, then we do this. If it's a frame, we do this. And I'll be able to maintain the state of all the keys that were pressed, right? As they were pressed, kind of like mixed up with the frames. But I could still build an index first. This feature is awesome. This feature melts my brain. I won't lie. Like, and the worst thing is I'm going to release this thing and people are like, oh, neat. That's going to be like that. But it's still pretty awesome to be able to record gameplay in any game and use it for machine learning purposes. I still think it's a friggin' awesome feature. But I won't lie. It is melting my brain a little bit sometimes. At times. So yeah, I think merging the frame timestamps, basically ordering everything and saying if we have if our next item just an empty index. The problem is when the brain starts to melt, like it becomes a little harder to recuperate from that. Yeah. I'm thinking. That's the thinking pause. If you see this, I'm kind of scratching my bald spot, chat. I'm thinking like, what's going on? What's next? And there's a reason why it's a bald spot. It's not just genetics. It's because I always do this. I always do this when I'm thinking. All right. So the hair eventually says like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, because I'm gonna get ripped off anyways. Shit. All right. I need a plan. I need a strategy. I need a strategy for this. I need a strategy for this. So merging them would require us to have our own like little algorithm to merge them. I'm okay with that. I'm not necessarily against that. So I would just go through. I would kind of like maintain 2 cursors and just see which one we want to pick, and then advance that specific cursor until we run out of options, and then just build our own structure, right? Was that a clever way of saying you think a lot? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It was more me just saying I need to do this when I think, because there's already it's already like getting minimal up there. So I'm just I'm just saying I need to stop like emphasizing the problem, like how do you say that in English? Exacerbate, like whatever. Okay, yeah. So merging. So I don't know if Icy's still here. But that was a good idea in the end. And I'm going to try to do that. So I have all my I need to still get all my events. That's not going to go away. But before we do anything else, and I'm just going to still just like push everything down, we're going to come up with a method to merge these things, right? Exacerbate. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that, Lectin. I appreciate it. That's actually pretty helpful. All right. Exacerbate. I like that. That's perfect. Now we need to start like actually like communicating like this. That's perfect. The other way I like to communicate is with the emote. All right, that's another way of communicating. That's yeah, like like this. All right, so I'll definitely work with. I'll definitely work on the. I'll introduce some sort of like self dot merge, and I'm gonna make it an underscore one because I don't want it to be. I need money, then I sub. I like that. It's like, oh shit, I need to sub. No, oh wait, oh shit, I need money. Then I. You don't need to sub. All right, that's not a need. It's okay. It's okay, dude. It's all right. I don't know if it's Mike. I can't tell if it's just like if it's an alien thing or if it's a lurk thing or. All right, so merge frames and keyboard events, and I'm going to be passing. I already have the frames, but I don't have the keyboard events. So I'm going to pass the keyboard events. The frames are in the scope of the instance variable or whatever, the instance of that class, right? There we go. There we go. That thing is definitely not like scary at all. It's totally fine. I'm planning out. I want to make that game bot I mentioned a few days ago to figure out where things are in the game. In the game goes, should I be comparing color values if there's a big difference? Okay, Pagale, what I need you to like reformulate that question. I hate to say that because it's a pretty big paragraph that you wrote, but reformulate it to say exactly which game and what you want to do in it. Like, and it's gonna be easier to kind of because I know you tried to tell me like in a more like abstract way with the framework or whatever. But I'd love to for you to remind me what game and what's the actual problem. I think it's easier for people to visualize that way, right? Okay, so that doesn't exist right now, so we're gonna work on that for sure. Let's go to our underscore methods, and my goal would be to. We have this, handle signal. I think I can go beyond that and say, yes, it would be an offshoot forbidden. Not allowed to sleep tonight. It's perfect. You can do the reveal in 2 emotes. It's actually a good. I like that stuff. Offshoot, forbidden. If you don't know what that is my offshoot plugin library for Python. That allows you to specify some sort of like validation protocol for instance methods and classes that you want to extend with plugins. And I'm going to make this forbidden to overwrite, and it's going to be merge, that merge frames and keyboard events that receives, well, first of all, let's see, instance methods, so self, and then keyboard events, right? And the current problem that we're going to focus on is how to merge this accurately with the timestamps. It's a clay Lego man, nice. It is sort of not scary necessarily, but disturbing, I think, is the word I'm looking for. Disturbing is definitely what I'm looking for here. It's disturbing. It's not scary, but it's a little disturbing. Okay, so I want to make a game for a bot call. A game for a bot. Nah, shit, I need to take my line. I want to make a bot for a game called Octagon. It's a game where your ball moves, moving on tracks, can be slanted. Okay, cool. Yep. There's a big difference in background color and foreground color at all times, but they also change as the player moves. How should I go about figuring where the track is? Okay, in that case, it's not that bad, Pagale, because you're going to be working on a frame-by-frame basis. So at any point in time, like the contrast is going to be there. It's just it might be reversed, right? If I understand correctly, it might be that it's like a lighter, like track and then a darker background, or the opposite. First of all, I need a confirmation on this thing to make sure I understand correctly. If that's the case, and it's a frame-by-frame type of thing that you're going to be dealing with, it's not that bad. You can use what we call well, there's thresholding, right? It's not like a special thing or anything, but you can bring down your image to black and white based on thresholding methods. With Python, you could use something like scikit-image or OpenCV, for example, right? And what you want to do is take your full color, full definition image, and you want to threshold that, right? So you could threshold it based on a certain value. You could threshold it using like Otsu thresholding, but essentially it's going to create this black and white image, and you're setting the threshold point dynamically for these pixels, and that could give you like the actual like location of the track. If you want some more help on this, like I would highly suggest like just talking about it in the Discord, the Serpent AI Discord. I can link you up, because not only me but some other people might be happy to help you out with that sort of problem. I would take a look at it if if I have time after this. But it's really easier for me if I see the image and what you're trying to do. I think I'm not necessarily on the wrong track, but it's really hard from just a Twitch message to know. Yeah. But yeah, ask in the Discord. It's not just like an attempt to like push the Discord or anything. It's just that the Discord is not just for my Twitch thing. It's also for the Serpent AI framework. So there's a bunch of people that have already worked with it. And even if it's not Serpent AI, right? It doesn't have to be Serpent AI, but if it's like computer vision, image processing, you're kind of likely to get an answer from someone else than just me. So you're kind of like polling more than one person at the same time. It's probably more efficient to get an answer for your thing, right? Okay, so how do we merge this? I probably have like chat. I have like maximum 1 hour left, because I'm gonna need to get off, take a little break and prepare before the podcast. So let's try to do this merging thing, and maybe tomorrow we can pick up from there. How about that? I think that would be like a reasonable way to handle this. And if you don't know, maybe it's a good time to talk about it. But there is two things. Part of a Twitch team. Let me just go to my browser for a second. I'm just gonna give it. Well, the team. Here's the team right there. All right. So right now, Skylius is also live, and then this guy is live. Snow, are you just going around the snake? The thing is, this you're vulnerable in this case, Robert, to like stream delay, right? So if you're delayed more than 15 seconds, you'll have a hard time playing Snake properly. Network error. I've never seen that on Twitch before. Okay, so there's like these lovely bunch of peoples here. I talk about them like almost every day when I end my stream. But we also have this podcast that we started 2 weeks ago, and we're making this like for the moment it's a every 2 weeks occurrence, so every other week. And we get together, we get 4 people out of this team together, and we talk about like topics that we think are interesting, like general purpose. So tonight it's going to be about like like bot or AI assistants. So like your Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, stuff like that. We're gonna be talking about that tonight, right? So we're gonna have like it's around an hour. It could stretch a little longer if we're having a good time, but I think we shoot for an hour. And we're just gonna, if you like to see interaction between some of these people, tonight's gonna be Mike. That's gonna be here. That's been in chat. That's been noticing my use of alcoholic beverages before the podcast. It's gonna be Sky is gonna be there. That's live right now, and Dr. Pamela is gonna be there, and I'm gonna be there also. Right. So that's gonna be the podcast. It's at 10 Eastern, 7 PST, right? Pacific. So I am probably going to take a little break, and then we're going to go over there and do that podcast. So if you want to see some of these people, right? If you want to see some of these people just talk about that, like stuff like that Alexa and all these assistants and AI and machine learning and how that impacts the household, this like maybe even society, where are we heading with these things, what's the privacy concerns, stuff like that. We're going to be talking about this together in the podcast later. That's going to be on the Brain Bites TV channel, by the way, but I'm going to be hosting it. So just if you want to know about the book, if you want to see it, we'll be able to get you over there. You want to watch something, in about 2 hours. All right, cool. So let's work on the merging. Yeah. Oh, you're working down on a whiteboard right now. Okay, it's okay, but it doesn't matter. Like you're presenting a problem. Just give us Pagali. Just give us just give us a frame from the game, even with the question you ask, and I think people could already like see some approaches that make sense. right? Just give us a frame from the game. Like this is what happens, and this it could reverse the contrast like this. Just give people pictures, and talk like just explain your problem, and it's easier. It's easier to kind of answer that sort of question. Exacerbate. I don't know if you're just like super delayed R2 right now, or not. We talked about exacerbate like 10 minutes ago, maybe. So I don't know. Maybe you're having like massive like Twitch delay or something. Or it's something I missed out on. Maybe it's a joke I missed out on. Events, plural. Okay, so how do we deal with this? Like, we're gonna have to. We have two of our two collections. We're gonna maintain a pointer or a cursor. Yeah, my stream was 500. Dude, it happens with Twitch. I don't know why. It's been happening, right? I'm not crazy. It's been happening to me too. I've seen that stuff happen, man. Like for real. Like I watch a stream for a long period of time. Like let's take multiple hours, and all of a sudden I notice that I'm talking in chat and it makes no fucking sense. And I'm like, oh, well, what happened? I was focused in the browser the entire time. I did not really go anywhere. But the thing is it doesn't actually drop frames from what we understood last time. We did have a bit of a discussion on that last time. It doesn't actually drop frames. I think it's trying to play all the frames. So if there's a drop frame, it's going to try to like insert. It's going to try to do something. It slowly drifts away. It slowly drifts away, and it sneaks up on you like that. No, it's not embarrassing. It sneaks up on you, man. It sneaks up on you because you're like you think you haven't seen like any buffering or anything, and you think you're still like seeing the same thing. But when you check your stats, you're like, oh shit, I'm actually like more than a minute behind. It's been happening. I don't know why. I just think they need to drop the frames for reels or something if there's like something happens. I'm not saying it's easy to fix, but something's been happening since that new front end. I used to have like a constant, let's just say it that way. I used to have a constant like broadcaster latency. Right, so for some people I would be like more behind, but it would not drift away with time. It would not drift, right? It would stay at that. So if I'm like 30 seconds behind, it's just my deal. It's just like what I have with that person or that server on Twitch, fine. But it would not like drift away over time. Now I'm noticing like a lot more drifting away, right? A lot more like I start at 8 seconds and then I come back like whatever. I just look at the stats later. I'm like at 120 seconds. It is a little frustrating. Pagale with the image. Just give me a sec. Oh shit, that looks like a nice game. So it's a little like what's the name again? Boson X, I think it was the game. Looks a little like that. It's kind of similar. You want to stay on the track, but I'm thinking like you said, the contrast can be reversed. But what I'm seeing here with what you just showed me with that picture, there's definitely some image processing work that you can do. To really get a nice input or representation of your track, right? I can see it. I can see it. It would work. It would definitely work. All right. We have some work to do, however. Let's go back to that. Okay, so how do we merge this? Like I said, we're probably going to maintain two pointers or positions. And what we're going to do is run this in a loop, like probably like a while true, right? While true. And we're going to look, every time we iterate in that loop, where we just go through a new cycle of that loop, we're going to look at both pointers, and whichever pointer is older, we're going to append it to our final collection. Right, we're going to append it to our final collection, and then we're going to bump up that pointer by 1. And when we run out of entries, we're just going to break out of that loop. And that way, that's one way at least to do some sort of like merging. So I can do, for example, like frame cursor and set it at 0, or index. You can call it what you want. Frame index, set it at 0, and then we can say keyboard. Oops. Keyboard event index 0. Then we start at while true. Right, whoa, hole. that while true. We start that. And we're going to check out both. We're going to extract the timestamps of both of these things. And whichever is older is the one that we're going to store in our final structure. And we're going to bump up that respective cursor index by 1 until we run out of values in a specific structure. Right? So let's just say merged is going to be a list. Do we want to get a list there? Because with the merge thing, we can look up for frames, and I really like it. I really wish Icy Mike was still here so we could tell him that it was a good idea, and that's the one we're gonna end up using. I think it's a great idea to merge, right? But I'm gonna make it a list, and then with a list we can get the current, when we iterate over that list, we can get the current index, and we can kind of look around at the neighbors, if any, to see if there's like a frame that can be attached to this thing. It's gonna work out pretty well. So I really like that approach. Okay, so the merge is going to be a list, and in that loop, like I said, first of all, we're going to extract the frame. We have to fix something before we do that, however, because in the frames, when we were storing the frames in the on record and the handle record here, we were doing the timestamp shit. Now we don't need to do that. Now we just need to store them, like straight up. Like in a list, literally. So we're going to change game frame buffers to a list, and it's not even going to be a dictionary anymore. So it's simplifying right there. Game frame buffers, that's going to be changed to a list, not a dictionary. Like this. And then in our handle record, this guy. I'm just going to be appending 2 game buffers directly to the game frame buffer. It still happens in order, by the way, right? It still happens in order because this gets called periodically. The timestamp increases in our frame, so whatever we append to game frame buffers is going to be ordered in terms of time. So we're good. So that's all it does. Very, very simple. Look at all the bullshit we used to do on every... I'm going to get rid of this shit. Fuck it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. It's gonna feel so good to remove. You ever had that feeling like when you're programming, you just like delete this huge chunk of code? You're not. It's gonna feel so good. Like, so good to get rid of this shit. Bye-bye. We don't need you anymore. We just replaced you with this. How good does that feel? Yeah, we still have to work out the the technicalities here. So this one is still a mess a bit. And I'm gonna keep some whatever's in our old record pause because there was some useful shit like writing to the HDF5, so I'm not going to get rid of that. All right, cool. So now we have our events, our frame events in a normal list ordered by timestamp. And we're going to do the same thing with the keyboard event should already be a list. So before... Yeah, they are. It's just a list. So I'm going to add the keyboard event to that list. Oh shit, I'm missing a part here. That still needs to be done before we... Alright, like this. Alright, so I need to deserialize them from their pickle representation coming from Redis. And then I'm adding that to the keyboard events, and they're still ordered, and that like both of them are ordered like ascending order in terms of timestamp. So there you go. And now we can start working on the merge properly. So the first thing we'll do is extract the values, the current values using the indices that we have, right? So let's say that the current frame or the game frame buffer. I can rename this to game frame buffer index, even though it's longer. It just makes more sense. Buffer index. Sorry. All right. Okay, so let's get the game frame buffer out. So that's going to be, and we have to handle. Do I have to make sure first that it's not going to be? Yeah, we have to make sure that it's not going to be out of bounds or anything. So that's one thing we need to check first. Okay, I'm trying to think of how I can structure this, and this is kind of generic. You can make this work like in multiple situations. The whole like working over, so this merge, you're gonna work over 2 or more structures. You can maintain indices like this, and then when you find the one that respects your merge rule, you advance that index and add that one to the list, right? So it's a generic pattern. It doesn't have to do with our specific like case. It's something you can use for other scenarios. So when you're looking to merge values based on a certain rule, you can do it that. That's one way to do it. That's not too bad, right? Is it the best way, the most like performant way? Probably not, but it's going to do the job. Okay. So what's the plan? I want to check that they're not out of bounds, first of all. So perhaps the first thing I want to do is if both the game frame index, game frame buffer index, and I'm just starting easy here, and we're going to flesh this out a bit. So if both of these are out of bounds, that's the first thing we need to check. Then it's time to break this while loop, right? So that's going to be the first thing. So this keyboard event index. Okay, so if this is greater than the length of self.gameFrameBuffers, let's do it the right way. Self.gameFrameBuffers -1. It means that we're out of bounds. And we're going to do this with the other guy too, right? But this guy is not going to refer like an instance variable, but it's going to be the same thing. If this is greater than, if it's greater than len of keyboard events that we get as an argument to this function, -1. Oops. Now we can put this between brackets. I think it's, I guess rather be safe than sorry in this case, but I don't think it's necessary. All right, so if both of these are true, then it's time, like I said, to break the loop because we've exhausted all the possibilities. All right, nice. All right, nice. Then the next one is we're gonna do this guy, and we can put it in an elif where it's just this here. So if both of them are not true, if this ends up not being true, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna say if this is under or equal, right? So lesser than or equal, then we'll definitely try to extract 1. So that's how we do it. So then we'll get it from self.gameFrameBuffers using our gameFrameBuffer index right now. So that's how we get our frame buffer. Yeah, no, the elif is not going to work here. I just thought of that. It's not going to work. It would have to be an else first, and then we do another if inside. That's for where we set. It's a little involved. I'm not gonna lie. It's not like a super simple thing. Let's set both the game frame buffer in this case, and so I'm trying to come up with this thing on the fly, essentially, if you're wondering. So I'm slowing down a bit, but I have to do both the logic, talk it out, and also make sure I don't fuck up. So keyboard event. So both of these start out as none. Then in the else, if it's not time to break out of the loop, we have to do some more stuff like extracting, for example, right? The game frame buffer. So that's going to go here. If this is not out of bounds, then we extract the game buffer, the current one. And then we do another if, so it's not an else or whatever. We could just do a separate if and say the keyboard event index lesser than or equal to the len of those keyboard events -1, meaning that we haven't exhausted the list yet. Then we can pass in the keyboard event and set it to keyboard events where it's keyboard event index. All right, so that's a start. So at the end of this block, we've either exited the loop because we were done, or we have one or more, right? One or more of these two. So let's start by saying, hey, if game frame buffer is none, it's good. It's a lot of ifs. Like, it's not necessarily pretty, but the logic is pretty simple. If this guy is none, then the item that we are looking to add in this case is going to be the keyboard event, right? Alternately, if this keyboard event is none, then we're going to add the item as this, and only in the else clause are we. So if we have two, then we're going to compare them using the timestamp and decide which one, which one will prevail. But otherwise, we already know if we're adding a keyboard event, then we should probably bump up that keyboard event index by 1. And then we're going to do, if the keyboard event itself is none, then we know we have to use set the item as the game frame buffer, and also bump up that game frame buffer index by 1. And the else clause is the one that's interesting. So when we have two of these values, which is most of the time, like most of the cases in the beginning, we're going to have multiple one of these. So now we have to compare them. So in that else clause, we're going to have both a game frame buffer and a keyboard event. So we have to decide like which one prevails, like I said. And in the end of all this, let's say we have some garbage here. Let's pass. What are we doing? Well, we're going to add merge.append. Whoops, merged.append the item. And eventually we're just going to end up returning merged. That's going to be our merged list, right? Hopefully it makes sense. I think it's not, the logic of this is not too complicated. I don't think so. It's not like complicated. It's not sexy necessarily. It's a bunch of conditionals, but that's going to be a way to merge. That's one way to merge two lists by a merge rule. So the rule, we're going to implement it right now instead of that pass. So what do we want to compare? Like I said, so we need to extract the timestamps, and whichever is greater is going to be the winner. Lesser than, sorry, is going to be the winner. So the smallest timestamp that we can extract out of this is going to be the winner. So let's say the game frame buffer timestamp. And then we already have a way to do it. It was game frame buffer dot frames. And we were using the second to last or before last value dot timestamp. So that's how we extract the timestamp from this guy. And then the keyboard event is a little simpler. The keyboard event timestamp is going to be coming out straight up from the keyboard event with that key. Right, it's going to be keyboard event timestamp. Both of them are generated the same way, so we're essentially comparing the same values here. And how do we decide who's the winner is just a sequence of ifs, like big fucking surprise. Here we go again. Here we go again, right? So if the game frame buffer timestamp is smaller than the keyboard event timestamp, it means that the game frame buffer is the item. And that we need to bump up game frame buffer index by 1. Oops, shit. And there's an elif here. Or we could do else. I mean, it's a catch-all. If that is not true, then it's gonna do something else. So I'm sure it's gonna work. We set the item to keyboard event. And bump up the keyboard event in the index by 1. All right, something like this. And then we can merge the whatever has been set to item in this case. And there should not be a clause where there should not be like a fall through, like something that just didn't really set item to anything. And then we can return the merge list. Okay, let's try that. Let's try that. This one. How about that? So merge frames. How did this? Where is this coming from? What? I'm almost scared that this where did this come from? There's just a random order thing here. Oh, it got pasted by the middle click. Perfect. All right, that's a relief. And there's still something wrong because these offshoot forbidden should not be showing in this color. So there's definitely like an error somewhere. What's your deal, buddy? That does not tell me what the error is. That's the Git thing. What's the error? There has to be an error somewhere. Oh, there. How the fuck did this happen? Okay, so I'll tell you what an issue is on, I don't know if it's a Linux thing or just like in this specific case, but the middle click, which is very, very sensible, like delicate, I would say, inserts like stuff. Actually pastes whatever's in your clipboard. So sometimes when I scroll down, I accidentally like apply too much pressure and it inserts like random bullshit. So in this case, like clearly my key that I'm trying to get is not timestamp index equals this. And what would it be? Because I definitely like inserted garbage there by accident. It should be interval. Where's the rest of that? I don't see it. It should be interval. Okay, this is a little frustrating. Just a little bit. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna copy our merge one, and I'm just gonna do a bunch of Control Z's. Hopefully we have enough history there to go back. Probably not. If we're being real. Because I ended up pasting a lot of random bullshit in there, and it's a little scary. Interval. I'm gonna give it a second to catch up, because like I said, this is still indicating that there would be some error. Oh, it still does it. How long has this been in there? It has been in there for a while. In such cases, I go with confer. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go there too, man. I'm just gonna go all the way. I'm just gonna reboot. Like I don't know. It's not the thing I want to see at this point in the stream. Like essentially. Yeah. So the whole order bullshit. I can get rid of it for sure. And this was keyword args get something. Can we compare some? Aha! Okay, nice. That's exactly what you were talking about, I think, Andy. Yeah, well, maybe not in this. It's not PHP, but it works the same way. I can compare with what I had in head. But how do I revert it, however? Can I revert it? Like this? Revert change. Whoa! It says changes. Okay, it didn't destroy everything. I would still catch these. By the way, chat, I would still catch these issues when I'm doing my code review, like on GitHub. Like when I push this in a PR and I just look at whatever. Like I still review that stuff, so I would catch if something would be like odd based on the diffs. It's just because when I'm wanting to try this stuff right now, it would be a little. No, this didn't work. I don't know if we're still missing some stuff, but look at all this bullshit. Good thing I copied it, I guess. Okay, so that's my merge frames. That one is fine. probably just like an empty space that was added. I don't know, but there's a double space there. That's a little weird too. That's that's not gonna come. We're gonna fix it, all right? We're gonna fix it. And this one is still having a shit like a okay, because how the fuck did this shit happen, man? Like I don't know. I don't understand how this garbage happened, man. I it's either I dragged something where I shouldn't have. Because this is like a time sleep. This whole timestamp index doesn't have anything, like, it doesn't belong there, man. Okay, some massive, like I fucked up on multiple levels, I think, like really, because there's a lot of stuff. I don't know if it's the file itself. I don't know if it's like a linter that did something, but there's a lot of stuff that's not at the right. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's not at the right spot right now, man. I'll check it out, Andy. Thanks, dude. Because fuck, man. Like, look at this guy. Like handle collect frames would have handle record in it. I don't think so. This thing is broken. Is totally destroyed right now. And yet I've been working on so much of that shit today that I don't feel like reverting. How the fuck did this happen, man? It's the good old like middle click for sure that's responsible for this. Okay, no doubt about it. I scroll down and like I said, I apply too much pressure and then it inserts like whatever's in the clipboard at that specific place, like that where the cursor is. It's really bad. I wish I could disable that. There's probably a way. I just never really had that much of an issue before. All right, let's look at this that Andy linked in. Yeah, that middle click paste sounds scary. I know, because my mouse is old. Like this mouse, I don't know if you guys can see it. It's actually pretty old, man. It's like an old gaming mouse. So it works. It works for this purpose, just like coding for the stream. But the mouse itself, the middle button and whatever, it's been a little you know like used before. So it's definitely not as sharp and crisp as it used to be. So if I just like press a little too hard, it actually pastes some shit in, man. And I've never had it be this hardcore before. Like that, where it actually literally destroyed everything. God damn. And see, like all sorts of shit is like, what's going on, man? Things are out of order. Chaos. It's chaos out there. See, there's even a nested handle record that got pasted there by accident. I think I gotta get rid of this guy, right? That's pretty easy, but the time sleep is not belonging to the function. And the print is still useful, so it's this guy that needs to fuck off. And I'm pretty sure that's how it used to be. It just appends the game frame, says it collected +1, clears and prints out, and then waits. So this one I fixed, technically. Yeah, I need to figure out how to disable that. If someone knows how to disable the middle click to paste, like, and I think it's in Linux overall, man. I don't think it's just, yeah, it's in Linux overall. Look at that. Has nothing to do with just like VS Code or something. It actually will print out some stuff. I need to figure out how to disable that because it's been screwing me over. Like not that bad, but this is the first time where it actually stops me in my tracks. And there's still some stuff that's wrong. Let's try to like take it one thing at a time. I can use the little markers that indicate like changes since the repo, for example. That is perfectly fine, except for the extra space, but that's on me. See, this one doesn't belong there. This entire thing does not belong there. Like at all. Like zero. That was always my favorite feature. God damn, man. Yeah, I'm going by the change markings, Andy. Yeah. Because that's where, how many times have I done it? Really? Like, god damn. Too much is the answer. But I did not notice I was copying these blocks by scrolling down. But this timestamp index has nothing to do with this context at all, right? It clears and then it waits. So this needs to be gone like this. Let's go by the change markers. It's probably the best way to do it. That's fine. And this one we can ignore. It's our old... Okay, I think I'm back to normal now. What is this? Invalid syntax. Okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of all this shit. Fuck you, dude. God damn. Is it still invalid syntax now? Oh yeah, because there's a fucking range. What the? What? How? Like I messed it up on some other level. Like it's I've never seen that before. I've never seen that. I've never. Why is there a 4i in range keyboard event count here? What is even going on? And I said I don't want to get rid of this function because there are useful things in there. I don't want to get rid of it. Okay, what's your deal? No, there's no errors anymore. We good? We good? No, we're not good. Fuck. It's like a scrambler got ran on this and just like it, for whatever reason decided to have fun and remove some lines and fuck me over. Look at this! Like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, like, look at all these things that got inserted left and right, man. What the fuck is this? This is driving me nuts, man. All these random statements that just got dropped in there. Like this guy is everywhere. Everything's fucked. Oh my god, look at this. Stop input rec 4i in range keyboard count again. How many times did I paste that shit? It kind of calls for, it really calls for a bit of a revert, but I'm going to lose a bunch of shit if I do that, and I don't want that to happen necessarily, because this function is definitely like good, it's a good one, something I want to salvage for sure. And what we did with the record, I'll probably just like paste it in an empty buffer or something. Is there a way to create like a scratch file in VS Code? I'll literally just make like whatever, man. I'm gonna revert, and I'm gonna keep the relevant parts because I destroyed it to an extent that is not something I can recover from without. I'll just do a new file and drop some of these things in there that I care about. Like that merge frames, for example, is something I care about. There was some other stuff in there that we did today. And I need to figure out, like, how do I disable middle click to paste? Because that is also something I need to do right now. So this never happens again. Because that's too much, man. Middle mouse paste. How to disable mouse middle click to paste feature in Linux? Log out of your session, log in. I don't want to do that. There's nothing that makes... Oh, man. Alright. Doesn't look like anything like makes sense. Like all of them are hacks. That there's no real official way to get rid of that. But let me keep these segments that I care about. I'm just gonna revert from there. So this is one I was okay with. The handle record is definitely fine. There's the setup for the recording. That's something we worked on for sure. And I'm gonna keep that around too. And the rest we're just gonna get like totally like reset hard on the fucking head. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. So the pause thing, I mean, so far I had something that made sense, but is it even worth salvaging? Maybe a little bit. I don't know if did we change anything else. I use X input set button map to completely disable the middle click. Yeah, but do I want to completely disable the middle click? I don't think it's a. I don't think it's the way to fix this. Honestly, I don't think you want to disable the whole. Yeah, see, it's a bit aggressive. Yeah, I think so too. I don't think it's the right way to tackle this. But in this case, it did fuck me over, so I'll definitely add that to my mental, you know, like list of things I might want to get rid of aggressively. Because it's the first time I've had some issues before where it inserted like a keyword somewhere and I could just spot it. It's the first time I see something destroyed to that extent. And I don't know if it's because I was just like scrolling around like this quite a bit and I was just like pressing a little too hard, but it totally like created a massive mess in this file. So if you don't know what I'm complaining about, if you were not like really like watching or you just joined, there is a feature in Linux to paste things with the middle click, and if you have a mouse that's a little banged up, it's kind of easy to trigger that middle mouse click. So I was just scrolling around in my file for like hours, and I ended up inserting a bunch of random bullshit with that middle mouse stuff to a point where it's really hard to recover from. So I'm just really gonna revert my stage. I'm just a little scared. I'm gonna probably check out like the only this file from hand just to make sure. But that should be it. That should be all I need to revert. I think I've added an untitled, and then we'll look at reverting this Serpent AI. So that would be in the other guy, this one. Yeah, you could remap it to some. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So see, there's a lot of stuff that got changed. I don't necessarily want to like get rid of them. So if you could you could do a diff. Yeah, you see that we added some stuff that's useful. So I just want to check out. Git checkout. Serpent. Oops. If you ever tried Sublime Thoughts, like a long time ago, I would use Sublime, but it's a decent editor. I don't know if I have like necessarily more than that to add, to be honest, though. It's been too long. I don't think I ever used like even like Sublime 3, man, so it's been a while. I had no complaints, however. I had no complaints. I remember transferring from Sublime Text when I started working at a shop that was doing Python. It was my first time doing Python. And they were all working with you know, like JetBrains and PyCharm, and they got me a license. So I kind of like, oh, you know, I'm gonna use that, and then I kind of really enjoyed the JetBrains IDs, and that was probably the point in time I left Sublime behind, not because it's bad, just because I kind of moved on to something that was more adequate for that project. No, I don't have anything against it. I mean, it has a solid place. Performance-wise, it's definitely all right. It has like probably the most massive amount of plugins out there, or extensions. I don't know how they call them. So it's a good editor for sure. I don't have anything against it. All right, so I'm just gonna check out this guy back from my head, because we fucked up. We fucked up. All right. So this should be back to the state it was in before. And I'm being really light on my really light on my key, my middle mouse buttons right now. I don't wanna, you know, I don't wanna fuck it up. Hey, look who's there with the angry theme. Yeah. What about PyCharm? No, PyCharm's good. I normally use PyCharm, but I had a bit of an accident, and then I'm too lazy to fix it. that led me to install VS Code, and VS Code is kind of like just like all right enough that I don't get mad enough to stop being lazy and fixing my PyCharm, if that makes any sense. All right, so I did check out like from the head this file, and now I'm gonna start adding, and hopefully we won't be too far, right? So I had this handle record there, setup. Let's start with the setup one, and I'm being so light on my middle, my mouse, like my scrolling, because I don't want to get rid of that shit. Okay, so the first one is the handle record, like the setup block this here. So let's replace this U with this. That was not useful. It's a pattern. You break everything. Yes. It's a repeating pattern. Setup handle record there. Should be good. Yeah. Okay, moving on. We have handle record, which is mostly empty, but it's not the case anymore in our case with the work we had done tonight. So I'm going to bring that in. I really think it's interesting that this happened, to be honest. I've never had it be like a problem to that extent, like I said. Like I've had like the random like paste that I could just spot, but to a point where I could not revert the file, that's the first time. I mean, I reverted it with Git. Thankfully, we're using like version control, but that was interesting for sure. First time I see something like that happen. All right, so offshoot forbidden. This merge frames, boop, and then we can get rid of our extra little buffer here. Easy on the scrolling, easy. There we go. Extra line like this. No, not. Why are you trying to save? This guy is done. This guy. What is virtual env? Virtual env is a way of just like creating a specific environment with your packages for like your app, right? So it's using the same version of Python. You're using the same version of Python for your virtual env, but it allows you to install like specific packages with different versions, for example, for your app. So it's highly recommended you work with something like a virtual env normally. Right, because otherwise, if you just install Python and you install a library to that Python, if you need any sort of other version, you would have to overwrite it, right? Yeah, it is a sandbox. It is. Yeah, it is. All right, so it's just using the same. It's going to use the same binary to run your code, but it's not going to use the same packages. It's not going to use the same libraries. So it's effectively just like sandboxing your app, like R2 is saying. So yes, it's a pattern that multiple languages have. It's not just Python. It's a good practice in general. All right. And for some reason, I've had a lot of DevOps tell me in the past that this sandboxing thing was not like they were not a fan of it for some reason. It was just like I prefer to use like system Python, and I was like, to me that was ridiculous, and I could still be wrong. I'm not saying I was right about that, but I just think it's ridiculous because system Python is what gets used by your system utilities. Now, if you somewhat fuck up like your system Python, you fuck up your system utilities, like some of them that use Python, right? And there's quite a few on Linux. So for me, like using system Python was never smart, like in a sense. I prefer to even install separate versions of Python and use something like like PyEnv. That way I don't fuck up system Python, even if I try stuff with my installs of Python. What's a DevOps? Like most people that do a bit of like server admin and development, like kind of like at the bridge. So usually they're in charge of like maintaining servers and working on deployments and stuff like that. So they understand a bit of the code base of the product, and they're making this bridge between the full-on sysadmin and the code of the product. All right, maybe you have another name for it. Oh, okay. So that would still be somewhat acceptable. Now, if we were to think that our merge is working, I would have to store it somewhere in our pause. Oh, I don't think I saved that one. Oh well. Oh well. This one is gone. Oh well. I'm gonna have to work on my pause. I don't think I saved that one, or if I did, I didn't bring it in from that untitled one. Everything's going really well, really well. Go. How's that war gonna go? You think? I don't know. What do you mean dog emote soon? There is one. It's just the problem is I can only have one active. There is this, but it's for tier 2 subs. Not because I want to like put a fucking pay gate, just because I can't get more emotes when I'm an affiliate. But there is a dog emote. But I had some stuff running in there. It kind of pisses me off that I lost this one. You're right, scammer. Alright. Like, I would still have this as my emote first. As versus, you know. Let's try not to get rid of anything. I'll be super honest. Like, I'm kind of pissed that I lost this pause callback that we had started on. I still have to prepare for the podcast that's coming up in less than an hour on Brain Bites TV channel. So if you guys want to still watch something that is sort of on topic, but a discussion between some awesome people, it's gonna be happening over on the Brain Bites TV channel. But I have to prepare for that because I am on that one. I'm not just not a guest or a visitor. I am actually on that podcast, so I have to get ready for that. You should link. Yeah, I was so ideally I would have hosted it, but then it creates a situation where I can't really prepare for the podcast because I have to keep you guys on, and so I'm just gonna link it probably in the Discord or something. There was also a tweet that I sent out on Twitter. So I do publish a bit of information on Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter citizen, but I do try to send some information out there. Yeah, no, I don't feel. I think it would be a good time to call it just for this specific thing right now. No, there is no Twitter. Fuck. It's just Serpent_AI. There is a link if you scroll down. Yeah. Best of luck with the podcast. Thank you very much, dude. Yeah, I'm probably gonna call it there just because I'm a little pissed. Like I at least we have the merge. I'm gonna have to test the merge to see what's up if I did it properly. Once I have the merge, then it's gonna be a matter of iterating over the merge and determining first, is this a frame or is this a keyboard event? And then we're gonna have to figure out all the logic. If it's a frame and we have some open keyword events, then we want to add an observation. You know, there's gonna be we're gonna work through this. So the first thing tomorrow, yeah, this is the one. Thank you for that. That is the Twitter. That is the Twitter link indeed. So if you want to follow, that'd be super cool. I am not a spammy Twitter user, so I won't be bullshitting your feed with anything. When I say stuff on Twitter, it mostly has to do with the Serpent AI framework or the stream. And once in a while, I might link an article that I think is cool about machine learning or deep learning or something like that. But I'm not a 50 post a day retweet type of person, so I won't be spamming your feed or anything. So might not be the worst thing in the world, to follow this thing. There is a lot of information that you can get from there. Is it possible to rebuild Twitch with Keep Basic? Everything is possible, Stealth. If you have the right attitude, all right? If you have the right attitude, everything is possible. Everything. All right? So it starts with attitude. It starts with your mental game, and then everything is possible. Yeah. I'm probably gonna call there. So tomorrow I have to resume. On this on record pause here, and I have to kind of bring in my merge. And like I said, once we have the merge, we can iterate. Technically, the merge will order both frames and keyboard events, like in terms of time. And the idea is just to go over this thing, determine if it's a frame or a keyboard event, and then based on what we get, do different things, right? And eventually build the file once we have iterated over all the events. Yes, that's gonna be a good point to pick it up from tomorrow. It is a shorter one. Usually I say that it's kind of bullshit. Usually I try to go for 4 hours during the weekdays. It's been 3 hours and 50 minutes, so I think it's not that bad. And normally I would host someone after this, but since I'm going to be on the podcast in literally less than an hour, we're gonna skip the host tonight because I'm gonna be hosting the podcast when it's down. So if you guys are still around, like in an hour, you want to see some interaction, I'm gonna be talking with Mike Tsai, Skylius, and Dr. Pamela Gray. So that is Gay. I said Gray, Dr. Pamela Gay, and that is Star Shredder. All right, so we're gonna be on the Brain Bites TV. I'm gonna link you guys in Discord. There's already a tweet on Twitter for that stuff. So if you're still looking for something to watch on your second monitor while you're doing some other stuff, give it a shot. We'll be there back then. All right, so thank you for watching. Do appreciate, we got a bunch of follows, and Gooseman also gave us a sub. Bunch of hosts also today. Really cool day. So very good day. I'll be back tomorrow for sure for more programming. Perhaps a bit of a longer session if we can. And yeah, from Astronomy Cast. Yeah, she's gonna be there. She's part of our team on Twitch. R2. Yeah, you did the same thing as I did. Nice. Same thing as I did. Yeah, no, same thing as I did. No, she's on our Twitch team. If you didn't know, Star Strider on Twitch. That's her personal account, and she also streams on CosmoQuest X. That's another thing. So if you want to see these accounts, if you click on my Twitch team below my feed, you can see those accounts. If you want to, she's on Twitch. She's actually on Twitch, and she's going to be on the podcast in less than an hour. So what's it about? What's the podcast about? We're going to be talking about AI, like current and future AI assistants or bots, like Alexa and Siri and stuff like that, and their impact on, the average household and perhaps society. All right, so that's the topic. Now, where is it going to go? Who knows, right? So we all have a bit of talking points, but the whole point is just to kind of like see how it goes organically. So we're going to be debating that. So of course I'm going to be bringing in the machine learning angle, perhaps a bit of my experience like working in big data companies, perhaps like tackle the privacy stuff. But some people might bring totally different viewpoints, and we're gonna discuss this for perhaps like an hour, perhaps even a little more, if we're having a good time. Yeah, I just hope we remember to record it. Too soon, man. Too fucking soon, Stealth. Yeah, the second one, the first one, we didn't have the VODs on like a bunch of noobs, because we all like you don't create Twitch accounts every day, and we didn't really think about it when we created Twitch account for Brain Bites TV. So we ended up not having the VODs on, so the first episode is lost to time. We emailed Twitch about it, even partner support through like Skylius, and they were like, "No, we can't bring back a VOD. Like, I'm sorry, we know it's bullshit, but there's not much we can do about it." And I'm gonna try. Just give me a sec. I'm gonna link you guys in chat just in case you want to open it up in your tab, because we're gonna be on in less than an hour, like I said. Just give me a sec. Just gonna drop a link just in case, and then I'm gonna go eat a bit of food, prepare my talking points, and I'm gonna be on that podcast after that. Right? Yeah, no, R2, it's really a shame. Like, don't worry, we're the first people that are like really disappointed. So that's the channel that's gonna be on. It's a new channel, rather new channel. We're gonna use it for the podcasts for now. But we might also have some game nights eventually. We'll see what we want to do with this. But essentially, we have a channel for the team if we're doing team stuff, right? So I'll be there later on in less than an hour. So if you want to see that podcast, you are free to join. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and have a good evening.